80% of the building is drug dealers, 10% are residents, and the other 10% are drug users. That was gladiator school, and that's where I learned exactly what crack was. As far as crews and young kids, nobody had what we had. The guy with the most coke is the one that rules.
My guest today is a Harlem street legend. He goes by Chango. Chango grew up on the west side of Harlem, New York in the 70s and early 1980s, and he began selling crack when he was just 13 years old. By the time he was 18, he was running an operation that employed 45 workers who distributed 5 kilos of crack cocaine per day throughout 4 city blocks on the west side of Harlem. His crew was dubbed YTC, or the Yellow Top Crew, and made so much money and committed so many murders that the New York City Police Department established a task force for the sole purpose of taking them down. Chango is the last of a dying breed of New York City drug kingpins who became unimaginably rich during the crack epidemic of the 1980s. And he's here to tell us all about how he did it. And for bonus content with Chango, including stories about his time in prison and helping take down corrupt New York City prosecutors and cops, go over to Patreon, patreon.com/The Connect Show. Without further ado, there'll never be another like him. I give you Chango right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell.
I'm walking up the block one day where I live on 107th Street, and I noticed 3 guys walking behind me. I don't know them. I get this eerie feeling, and I got boxed in by HIU, 4 cars. That's when I got kidnapped.
That's when I see lights behind me start to flash. And I didn't even think, I just hit it. I was driving like my life depended on it. And then I parked the car, hopped out, closed the door, and I started running.
And he pulls out a burner, a shank, it's like 6 inches. And he passes it to me. And he goes, here, that's yours. Don't ever leave the cell block without this. He was the reason I made it out of that place alive.
There's so many problems embedded in the ghetto. Or in poverty, in whatever label you want to put on places like where you come from.
Yeah.
And it all begins in the mind, don't you think?
For most people, some people can't. Like if it's in the mind for some and they can't get out of it or beat it, then that's where they stay.
Because you're from a really unique time. What year were you born?
72.
Wow. In New York City.
Oh, I was born in Puerto Rico.
Oh, so you're okay. And when did you move to New York?
3 months. 3 months after I was born, I needed emergency surgery, so my mom brought me to New York.
Okay. Yeah.
And we stood here. We went back only one time when we experienced a lot of homelessness when we went through the shelter system and different people's apartments, and we got to reserve this person's living room floor, and we're gonna put a blanket on there, and our winter coats go in the pillowcases, and those become our pillows, and we all gonna sleep there. Always clean, and we always ate, but never had a place of our own. Wow. So we were like, my brother's gripe and my gripe used to be, we can't even invite no friends because where the fuck do we invite them to?
Right.
And if we don't have a place to live, we definitely never had Atari, Coleco, and none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Where was your dad?
My dad was never in our life, even though he's always been. He still works today. My father has today the same job he got when he was 20 years old.
In New York?
Yeah, and he's 66 years old.
Wow.
He was paying union dues to 32 BJ, which is the biggest union in New York City. I don't know about other places. When the dues were 25 cents.
Imagine those have gone up a little.
A whole lot, $47. So I'm in that union right now. So he's worked 54 years, but we never had a relationship with him because he was afraid that his wife will find out that he had a relationship with my mom. And when he met my mom, he told her that he was a widower. His wife was dead. And he met my mom in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
On vacation.
Oh, so he's not Puerto Rican?
Yeah, he's Puerto Rican
Okay,
too.
so he was just on vacation when he met your mom.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys were your dad's second family.
Yep.
The secret family that every old school Latino man has.
I don't have one, but yep.
Right, old school.
Yeah.
You're more evolved.
Yeah.
So how did you end up in Harlem?
Well, we were living on 106th Street in the building that we were living. Manhattan, sometimes some of us believe that the entire Manhattan is Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Depending on who you are.
Yeah.
So, but we lived on 106th Street, and the building we lived in caught fire. So we had to move from there. We ended up in an apartment across the street from there, also on 106th Street in Columbus Avenue, 932 Columbus Avenue. And we lived there for, maybe 2 or 3 years. And I don't know what happened exactly, but something happened with my mother's case, she was dependent on public assistance at the time. So they have these things that are called face-to-face meetings where you have to go in person and you have to bring your receipts and your lease and to make sure that everything is up to date. So I don't know what happened with one of those face-to-face meetings, but because of that, they stopped paying the rent. And now we had to move from there. And then we ended up on 105th Street. And then the blackout hit in New York City. What year was that? I think 77 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we had to move from there. And this cycle kept going on, moving from place to place because my mother's always stood single with all three of us. And she didn't work and she got a language barrier. So for those reasons and more, we had to keep moving from place to place. And we ended up in family homes. We ended up in, sometimes I'm walking with certain people and I could show them randomly, 137th Street in Broadway, yo, look, we lived in that basement right there. And they'll be like, that basement, that's a grocery store basement. I'm like, we lived there for a week. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So in New York City, you go to New York City, right? You know those black gates that are made out of iron on front of the grocery stores, in front of the buildings. So the bed that we used to sleep on was right beneath that gate that's on the pavement outside up there. So the bed is right here, and that's the gate, right? You see that wood right there? Uh-huh. And so anytime somebody walks through there and steps on that, you hear that. And anytime any little kid comes running, like we used to do in other places, and jumps on it, bang, you like, what's going on?
Yeah. And in New York, that's every 3 seconds. People never stop.
3.2 seconds. Yeah, and then we on Broadway.
It's the middle of Harlem.
So because of that, we had to go. And then we got into East Harlem, which is Latin, 3rd Avenue, Lexington. And we lived over there, and there was another fire. We lived in 220 West 111th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. And my brother and I would go around the corner to an Associated supermarket and pack bags to get money. Yeah, help my mom with little groceries, and the half that we would keep, we would go watch B Street over and over and over again on 116th Street, Cosmo movie theater. Wow, that's not there no more. That used to be an iconic spot.
So you remember the beginnings of hip hop?
For me, I don't know if that's, when it, I don't have no memory of Kool Herc. I didn't know who that was until I was much older, Yeah. We were discussing yesterday, like, what was the first hip hop song? And I remember Wiki, Wiki, Wiki. I don't know if that's what it was called, but that was that song?
No.
You know what that song is called, Alex? No. And you remember Kwame? You don't remember?
Kwame?
Yeah, with the polka dots?
Yeah, your life is played out like Kwame.
Yeah,
polka dots.
Yeah, they killed him later, but he was popping back then. Right. So my hip hop was I would say started then. I don't think that's the beginning of it, though.
Yeah, but you were really there at the infancy in the early 80s.
Yeah, I was there in the beginning. Yeah, embryonic stages. Yeah, because I remember my brother had a crush on this girl named Yvette that lived across the street from another place that we ended up in. This is in Brooklyn. And he used to play Dear Yvette by LL Cool J for her. He's like, what's going on?
I mean, to be, the time you were born in, you came up real hard. But to see the beginnings of hip hop, to be there, to witness the infancy of hip hop, and then crack cocaine, 4 or 5 years later. Beginning. Wild. I mean, it must have been kind of exciting.
It was. I thought when young, I was before crack, I got introduced to freebase. That's what crack was in the beginning. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Well, that was the rich man's.
Yeah, so that's how I got an introduction. I started seeing that. So check it out. We moved to Brooklyn when we ran out of places to stay in Manhattan, and for kids from Manhattan, they don't want to go to Brooklyn to live all of a sudden. So we end up on Fulton and Jerome, rough area, right? Yeah. And we living in this house, and it's a temporary thing because the dude that owns it, he owns a grocery store around the corner. It was called Lisboa Super Rep. But he has a crush on my mom, and my mom ain't putting out for him. So my mama she sleep with us in the room that we have. And so it became a thing where at one point he cut off our lights so we could move. But we ain't got nowhere to go, so we ain't moving. We turning candles on this month. So then he turned off the gas. Now we can't cook. So we got to eat out, but we don't have money to be eating out. So we had to go to Manhattan. My mother would cook pot of food in her sister's house, and we take that to Brooklyn. All of this is dysfunctional, but it's survival mode. Because you're on the train with pots and pans, and you helping your mom carry this, and you don't really want to do. You don't look cool. You feel awkward. So, but we still there. Then he cut off the water. Now it got tricky. You got to brush your teeth every morning. You got to take a shower. You got to flush the toilet. So now we would have to go to the basement and in paper bags and walk them out to the front, throw it in the garbage. It became too much at one point. We don't have heat, so my mom sealed the windows with black garbage bags. Now you can't look out the window. You're a little kid. You ain't going outside. You're new to this neighborhood. You can't even look out the goddamn window, and you start, stressing out. So we moved from there again to another place in Brooklyn on Linwood. Terrible spot. Third day there was a shootout in front of the building. My mother took us out of there. Constantly moving around, trying to find the best place. This is all before we left to Puerto Rico. Now we go to Puerto Rico because we have ran out of places to live in, and we living in a family house that's there that nobody uses. It's forever there, still there right now. But now we're not used to living in Puerto Rico. And this is not New York City, and we don't have no friends, and there's kids that don't like us because we speak English, and they feel like, in school we have an advantage. The girls are intrigued by us because we them guys that came from out there. They call it out there, New York City. They came from out there. So we're doing our best to acclimate, but it's not really working out because we have a place to live, but it's not like we ain't no HBO, ain't no Showtime, ain't no Cinemax back then, we got like 4 channels. And I got to get permission from my uncle to watch his TV. And he's a grumpy that don't want us touching his TV. All he want to watch on this soccer and other stuff. So I take to scuba diving as a sport, but then it became a hustle for me. And my brother took into like hunting squirrels and making bow and arrows, and that's how he used to entertain himself. And then when I would come from fishing, I would borrow like flippers, a harpoon gun, a mask, snorkel from family and friends that used to live in that neighborhood associated with my family growing up, because I had 8 uncles, 9 aunts. All of them were raised there. None of them were allowed to move until they were 21 because my grandfather was a preacher for 28 years and he was on them.
Is this in San Juan?
This is in Puerto Rico.
Where?
The town that I live in?
Yeah.
This is in, it's called Maunabo.
Okay.
It's right in front of the beach.
Okay.
It's Maunabo, Patillas, Guayama, Arroyo. All throughout that whole strip, we have family because they didn't move far. They moved to the next town this way or that way. So I take to scuba diving. I like, going in the water. I'm coming back with fish. I'm shooting fish. I'm getting octopus. I'm getting lobsters. I'm getting crabs. Everything, putting in a net bag. I'm swimming back up. And, I go into the beach in front of where we live at, but by the time I snorkel along the coral, I'm 2 miles down or 3 miles down or more. So when I'm coming back tired with my net bag with all those colors, you got to imagine all these colors of these different fishes and lobsters and the antennas hanging out through the net bag. Cars are honking. So I could sell them whatever I'm willing to sell them. Wow. So by mistake, I learned, I could make money doing it. but sometimes you get back to the crib with an empty bag and I'm like, damn, I sold everything. Because my job was I'm filling my mom's refrigerator with this stuff, So then I would sell half and keep half. I'm allergic to certain things, so I would sell that stuff and I would keep the other stuff. And that became a hustle for me. So then with that money, I started buying little pieces of wood and wheels, and we made a little like terrible looking cart with wheels. And I started putting mangoes and yuca and llame and quenepas and lemon and lime on there from around the house that is growing. And it's growing wild. Some of this stuff is a burden to have growing because you're not using it and you got to constantly be cleaning this. Otherwise, you got fruit flies surrounding your property. So when I can't fish, I'm selling fruits, vegetables. And through this strip, a lot of gringos come. So and I got my sign and it says 4 for $1 of certain things. Yeah. So they like, you speak English? And I'm like, yes, I do. And that made the transactions easier. So I was able to sell them whatever they wanted that I had, plátanos, guineo, I'm saying plantains or bananas, yuca, yams. And that's how I started putting money together for my escape back to New York. However, I made a mistake and I told my aunt my plan, and she took my stash. She didn't steal it. She just gave it to my mom. She said, yo, this guy's planning to leave. He told me he's saving money. He has this much for the flight, and he's saving now for the taxis because it's a $100 cab ride to where we live at. It's in the country from San Juan. So when she gave her that plan and my money was gone, it destroyed me.
But wasn't the whole plan for you and your mom and your...
No, I was planning. My mom was willing to stay in Puerto Rico, and that's that. You know?
Right.
So I was thinking if I could go back to New York, maybe it would have failed, you know? But that was my plan, to come back to New York and somehow get an apartment and somehow make money and somehow send for my brother and then get my money. But it wouldn't have worked.
Because it sounds more like, from an outsider's perspective, you're like, why would you want to go from living with no lights, no water in Brooklyn, you know, the hood where they're shooting at each other, to like this tropical beach? You know, like you're poor there, but at least you can make a living and survive off of the ocean.
Immaturity.
Immaturity.
I no longer had a little girlfriend there though, you know. I couldn't go outside anytime I wanted to. It's 7 o'clock at night. Everybody should go to sleep in the country, you know?
Yeah. You were addicted to that New York fast life already.
Every morning you got this going every morning. I'm throwing shoes at the roosters. I couldn't get used to it.
Yeah.
So but later in life, visiting over and over again, now when I was making money and I go back to Puerto Rico, back and forth, that's when I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's when I could stand somewhere and smell the fruit still on the tree vine, and I'm like, man, that's special.
Yeah.
The small things, you know?
Yeah.
You got to lose everything sometimes to appreciate everything.
Hey guys, real quick, let me tell you about an experience I had recently. At the end of last year, a video streaming service I was subscribed to raised its prices for users. I don't stay up on tech news, and I tend to ignore emails from these companies because, let's face it, it's usually spam. Luckily, I had Rocket Money, and they alerted me immediately of the price change. The price change made me rethink my subscription, and ultimately, I canceled it. And there's a ton of other stuff that I found out I needed to cancel because I was not using. Not only did Rocket Money let me know about the price increase, they even offered to negotiate the price with the company on my behalf. They were ready to help me save money any way I wanted to. How is this possible? Like, I don't know who to get on the phone with at Amazon or Netflix. Rocket Money does all that for you. They are the intermediary. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. That sounds about right. With Rocket Money, I have full control over my subscriptions and a clear view of my expenses. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, Rocket Money can help me cancel it with a few taps. I don't have to get on the phone with customer service anymore. This is huge. This is a great idea for a business. I love how the dashboard shows me this month's spending compared to last month, so I can clearly see my spending habits. Plus, they'll help me create a custom budget and keep my spending on track. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/connect. That's rocketmoney.com/CONNECT. rocketmoney.com/connect. Thank you, Rocket Money, for saving me money and for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back into it. So how did you end up on the west side in the Manhattan Valley where you first got your hustle going?
All right. It's about to get interesting. So we in Puerto Rico. My mom sees that we're not happy. No matter what she's trying to do for us, no matter, we got to go to school with uniforms. We're not happy about that. It's hot every goddamn day. So we didn't know it, but she started putting her own plan together to bring us back to New York. So one day we coming from school on a bus. That's another thing me and my brother hated to do, get on this bus. And the bus stops in front of the house that we live in. And I see from the window when I'm getting out in the aisle, I see that my mother's receiving a priority mail envelope. Was it priority or FedEx? So I see the colors, blue and red colors with the white in the middle. And I'm like, what could that be? That's only nobody. That's like for important people that get mail like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, you ain't rich. That's like some, you know. So I rush over there. You know, we just got to cross the street. But I'm curious, like, what is in that envelope? And she's trying to rip the little cardboard off of it. And then she turns it over. As I'm walking up to her, she's turning it over. And all this red fills her hand. And it's TWA tickets. TWA. And I'm like, what? What's that? She said, we're going to believe here. And I was like, Lord Jesus. When? And she was like, 4 days. And I was like, what?
Who sent the tickets? Did she buy the tickets?
My aunt's husband.
Okay.
Yeah, my aunt's husband, rest in peace.
What did she do with your money that your aunt stole?
My aunt, I don't even know. I don't even remember. My aunt didn't steal it. My aunt took it because she was scared that I might leave. She was like, you know, he's capable of that. So you don't leave him with that money. So she gave it to Toho. I could have got it back like little by little, but they weren't trying to put it in my hands like, here, start over. So the plan is now we're coming back and went to a friend's home temporarily. All this was set up for us. So we get back to New York. It was cold. We pulling up in a car to 106th Street in Columbus Avenue, where my aunt and her husband live at. That's gonna be our first stop. And as we're getting there, I see, you know, my old neighborhood, but it looks different. I see a lot of Dominicans. So as the car is pulling up, it's in the eve. It's I don't know what time it is, but it's dark already, right? And a lot of the stores are still open, and I see a lot of people hanging out. And I don't know none of them, and they don't look familiar, but a lot of them have curly hair. And those were little like perms that the Dominicans were doing when they come over. During that time, that was a style for them.
Yeah. What is the difference? What is the most marked cultural difference between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans?
Between them?
Yeah, like what is the big difference? You know, you're both Afro.
Nothing.
Right, you're both Afro-Latino. Yeah. You both speak rapid-fire Spanish. You're both curly-haired.
Nothing to me, in my opinion, nothing. But Puerto Ricans, Dominicans have always had beef and problems and race issues, unfortunately. So when I see them, I'm a little intimidated because I don't know these people, and they everywhere. I'm talking about everywhere as we're coming through Columbus Avenue, and we go upstairs to see my aunt. We come down. Now they're gonna take us to where we're gonna be at temporarily, which is 4 buildings down on Columbus Avenue, but on 105th Street. My aunt lives on 106th Street. So now they're explaining to me, all these people, you're gonna stay away from them, and what they are doing is selling crack. And I'm like, what the is crack?
Yeah.
I never heard of this, you know? But now they look scary to me. They put the spook in me, like, you know, stay away from these people. So we go upstairs to this apartment, and they show us our room. There's little bunk beds there, and there's another little cot, and there's 2 windows in the front. And this is where we're gonna be at. In the kitchen is the bathtub.
That's a New York apartment. Yep.
In the kitchen is the bathtub. No privacy, no nothing. The bathtub is here, and right over there is the stove and the refrigerator. And then there's another bedroom over there, and then there's another like half bathroom over there. So this is where we're gonna be at. That's where I saw that movie. What's it called? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's during that time when that movie was out.
So we're talking like 85, 86.
Or 86 or 87, something like that.
Okay.
And so I thought, we cool. We got beds. We got windows to look out of, you know. We got a place to chill. That's it. Wow. 2 weeks after we got there, my brother, you know, we got registered in school. We get home from school. My mother tells us we got to move. I'm like, what? What happened? She didn't want to tell me what happened. But we later found out, same issue. That's a single man. He thinks he got a woman through a catalog. He wants her to not be sleeping in the room with us. He wants her to sleep in his bedroom. But that's not what she signed up for, and that's not why we're here. You don't got to mail order family. You think. So we're leaving. So from there, everything that we had fit in Glad garbage bags. It wasn't much, and we got to each carry one. We moved to a SRO building. You know what SRO building is? Single rental occupancy. on 109th Street, 312 West 109th Street, between Broadway and Riverside. Wow. So that was gladiator school, and that's where I learned exactly what crack was. And
how was it? How was it bad?
Because there's 12 floors. There's maybe 20 rooms on each floor, 10 on one side, 10 on the other, 2 bathrooms in the hallway for people to share. And 80% of the building is drug dealers, and 10% are residents, and the other 10% are drug users.
Yeah.
So it's action all day long. And you hear shootouts in the hallway of the building. You know what I'm saying? You come, you see shells on the floor. In the morning time, my mother always had to go into the bathroom and hit it with ammonia and bleach to clean before we get ready for school so we could use it, because during the nighttime, they're using it as shooting galleries, injecting needles, you know what I'm saying? So she had to clean the toilet, clean the bathtub, clean the sink, clean the floor, and now we are allowed to go in the bathroom, and now we could use it. And then we come back in the room and we get dressed for school and we leave. But that was an adventure because you got to go down the steps half the times because the elevator don't work or it's being held. And you go down the steps, you turn this step, somebody's getting fellatio. You go down the next step, somebody's banging the vein with some dope. You go down the next one, somebody's making a deal, and they might be quiet while the little kids pass by, but we know what's going on. And we like thankful and feeling blessed and lucky that nobody's harming us there, right? And slowly we're sinking into the cosmetic of the place. So there used to be a big-time drug dealer that ran the whole building. His name was Molleto. Ironically, he got arrested by the same task force a lot earlier than we did, but that's how he went down in his crew.
Was he Puerto Rican or Dominican?
He was Dominican.
Now, at this time on the west side of Harlem, because Dominicans are known for dominating Washington Heights, 165th Street and higher. But on the west side, low numbers, 106th Street, was it Dominicans dominating the crack trade from the beginning?
Yes, all the way up to 165th, all the way up to the Bronx, all the way on 137th, on 145th, on 155th, on 165th.
So you would say that overall, they were the biggest, they were bigger drug dealers than Puerto Ricans in New York City?
As far as crack.
Okay. What were the Puerto Ricans known
Heroin.
for? Do you know why that was? Do you have
I don't know why, but
you think it's just they have connects to wherever the source country?
Well, in order to have a good dope connect, you got to be part of a small circle. Anybody could sell dope, but are you selling good dope? If you're not getting China white, you're not, at the time, if you're not getting China white, you're not selling good dope.
And the Chinese had the China white. Yeah. And so maybe the Ricans were just plugged up with them.
I believe that it was easier for Puerto Ricans who were already here and in the mix since, early 80s, 60s. No, way back when. There was a time that people sold penny bags of dope.
Right.
So.
Oh, right. So the Puerto Ricans had a legacy of selling dope. So that just carried over.
That's what I believe. That's my experience. That's what and the people that I know. And my mentor, he only sold heroin.
Right.
And I learned how to cut and package heroin and compress heroin from him. And he explained to me the history. At the times the Chinese would sell you a brick of dope and it was round. It wasn't a brick. Right. It was a circle because the way they were importing it was in wheels.
Wow. Is that right? Yeah. And then, Boy George, famous heroin
during
dealer.
That era, that's the era.
Yeah. He's from the Bronx and he was like a 20-year-old making millions of dollars a week at 20. With dope, with heroin. Yeah. So it's just,
it wasn't too smart. Well, with the party he had, but
yeah, but that is interesting. What's that?
You familiar with that case?
Yeah, I am.
He had a party on the yacht, and everybody that's working on the yacht was federal.
Crazy,
witnessing all this crazy.
Yeah.
So,
but the Dominicans, for whatever reason, had the plug to the Colombians, so they had the wholesale coke.
Always,
right?
And there are a few choice Dominicans that have had major dope operations in New York City. One of them was, I can speak about it because he's not here no more, was Caballon, and he's from the Bronx. And we sold him, it wasn't my dope that I sold him dope that belonged to my mentor. And that's how I met him.
Would a Dominican put on like a young Puerto Rican kid in a Dominican crew? Or would they discriminate?
I wouldn't be able to, from my experience during that time coming up, Dominicans weren't, Like us, a lot of us, when we started Yellow Top, were Puerto Rican, right? And they didn't like us.
Yeah.
And they would, in a disparaging way, describe us as Puerto Ricans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we never really understood. We know we didn't do nothing to you. You just don't like us. But I started to learn that's everybody that's Spanish don't like another Spanish person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody got this.
Yeah. Yeah. Puerto Ricans have always, unfortunately, been like the butt of the joke.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But, okay. So this is the drug landscape now in 87, and you're just a little kid trying to get to school. How did you fall into it? How did you finally get roped in and get put on?
I met my future business partner, which is Tito.
Yeah.
So I had a little extra freedom, and I would come home a little later than other kids, and I would come up 109th Street in Amsterdam to hit Broadway and then go to between Broadway and Riverside to go to this hotel that we live in, which is the SRO building. And he had a lot of freedom, and he would be outside too. And we were both young, and I met him there, and we started talking, and little by little, talking a little more, we started hanging out in the after-school center, Center 54. That was a part of our junior high school, Booker T. Washington on 107th and Columbus. And we just started talking, and he had the same problem I had. He needed money. So that's what bonded us. And then he had more connects, though. He was more aware of the streets. His stepdad was a coke dealer, so he knew who we had to go to. And we went to him and bought an 8-ball. You know what an 8-ball is, right? We bought 3.5 grams of coke, and we got a crack addict to cook it for us because we didn't know how to cook it, and we gave him a piece.
How old were you at the time?
I was in my teens.
Yeah.
And we gave him a little piece, a little rock for cooking it for us. And then we went and bottled up the rest, and we took a chance and sold it.
And it was so easy to sell it back then. You just post up.
And everybody had it, and still, you could not have enough.
Wow.
You could not have enough. Like we sold 100 bottles. That's what we made, 100 vials.
And what does each vial sell for?
Those that we made, there's different prices. Those that we made were nickels.
$5.
So we made $500. Now we had enough to buy an ounce, though.
Yeah. That's the kind of money. 3.5 grams of powder got you 100 nickels.
Which is $500.
Yeah.
And the 8-ball only cost us $90.
Wow.
Right? So, and we gave the piece to homeboy, so that was whatever it was, but it was a little more that we could have made. So now we knew we're going to always give it to Indio to cook, and we're going to always get it from Santo, your stepdad. And we repeated that process until we got to 62 grams. When we got to 62 grams, now we knew we could buy from anybody because now we had cash available to go buy. It wasn't a lot of cash. At the time, I think a 62 would be $1,200 or $1,250.
Yeah.
So doors opened up for us because of that, because now we can make a decision. We don't have to go to your stepdad. And we started going uptown, 140s. Now the trade up there was they selling cook-up. And cook-up is basically crack already made. The downfall to that is that you don't know what's in it.
Right.
And a lot of times they have B12 in it, or comeback, or who knows what else. Sometimes they would make it with gasoline. You don't have a choice. So after you buy it and you go sell it, if your customer base don't like it, you stuck.
Right.
Your only alternative is to buy more from somewhere else if you have money left and mix some of the that's already done with the good and slide it that way. But it hurts your business. You're selling an inferior product, and the customer base knows it also. So we did it for a little while though, because it was at the time, instead of paying $17 a gram, let's say for cocaine to then cook, you buying cook up at $12 a gram. So we thinking you could buy more and make more. That's where we learned the lesson that more, what you need is always quality, not quantity.
Because then you can choose how much you want to step on it.
Well, you can't step on crack.
Well, when I mean step, I mean you could choose how much baking soda to put in it.
Sure.
Or
you could make your own decisions. Yeah, that's right.
So, and at the time, wholesale, if you're buying even a 62, that's considered wholesale for crack dealers. The Dominicans basically have it monopolized.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you get around that? How did you find the powder?
Okay.
At wholesale.
During that era, in that neighborhood, you take a chance. You take a chance anytime in any neighborhood. You go do this, but you take an extraordinary chance when you go to that neighborhood at that time which was controlled by Blackie, rest in peace. When you're going up to the buy cooked up crack, because it is hot like mud. There's police on roofs with binoculars seeing if you're doing something funny, if you're buying something, they stop your car, they radioing it in. There's a lot of stick-up kids. We were kids. So during the time, some of the Dominicans that are selling coke have a half a brick and a Ziploc under a random car, and a triple beam scale. They don't want to waste time. Like the customer comes, they want to right here, let's go. We're not gonna waste time that you're gonna wait for me to come back from upstairs and maybe somebody else already took you, because there's that many people. The neighborhood is saturated with drug dealers. So we spoke to a guy, his name was Peluche, and he sold us some coke. And we took it to Indio, and Indio cooked it for us. And he sold it to us for a good price. So we started buying coke from him for a little while and getting Indio to cook it. And then we started buying coke from people in our neighborhood and cooking it. And then we started making noise because we got cheese lines and cheese lines. So people say, yo, I'll give you. It's like any supplier that sees you could get rid of coffee. I got coffee for you. Yeah. I got the best beans in the world. So that's what happened with us. Doors opened up, and now people in the neighborhood that sell weight want to be our supplier.
So now you have multiple connects.
We playing all of them.
That's playing them. Hey, down the street they got it for 10 cents a gram.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
whatever.
I will go talk to this guy while this guy's looking, so that he knows what I'm looking for, because he knows what I do and he knows what he does. And then I would cross the street. Hey, what's up? He's like, yo, what's up, man? Talk to me. I see you talking to this guy. Then I would tell him, hey, he's giving me a good price. How much? I would, lowball him. Yeah. And he would be like, I can match that. I was like, yeah, but he's giving me consignment. And I'm like, oh, he goes for this.
Right.
And sometimes they would.
Yeah.
And so now we always paid.
Yeah.
We always paid, and that got us a good reputation. So it kept going up. 500 grams is a kilo. Then we had the neighborhood serious guy that owns the sneaker store. His name was Fogarty, selling us coke. We go in there like we're buying sneakers. His store was on 109th Street in Amsterdam. We go in there like we're gonna go buy sneakers, and we leave in with a box of sneakers. There's a kilo in there. Consignment. Credit.
And that's good coke?
Yeah, it was A1 coke.
What are you paying on a brick?
At that time, $17.5 from him. Those days will never be back.
Never be back. Those were great times.
If you could literally buy 1,000 bricks, right? It's like Bitcoin.
$1,700,000.
And you and now it's 35. I'm cashing it in. Shoot, one shot deal.
So 17.5, and you'd have Indio cook up 1,000 grams.
Yeah, 100 grams at a time.
So how much?
No, but by the time we doing the brick, I learned how to cook. So I'm cooking myself.
So off a 17.5, off 1,000 grams of powder, how much crack does that bring back?
Depending on what valves we would use, because we started on economical warfare in the neighborhood.
Right. Okay, this is great. So the crack crews around this time keep dropping the prices of their bottles to where
if they got a lot of guns, they could do that.
Explain that.
You cannot do that unless you could hold that down. So other people are going to stop making money, other crack dealers. Right. And they're all going to get together. It's not good to have a conspiracy formed. It's not good for you to be alone and a conspiracy is forming against you. Yeah. So all these guys are suffering from the same guy. You undercutting the prices. Right. So you would end up going.
They're going to go shoot you.
Won't you either
or take off your worker or whatever.
They're going to talk to you. But now if they could get you to do what they want, now you no longer have the right to be out there. You understand how that goes?
Because you're weak.
Yeah. So if you don't go because you can't do what they tell you, now you have to expect to get shot at. And so you need guns to shoot back.
Right. Did you ever get into a price war like that where you said, we're going to drop our bottles down to $3?
Yeah, that's what we did. That's what I meant by we started an economical warfare. Yeah, we took a brick and we started doing buy one, get one free. Your prices.
Wow. So, okay, explain that. Explain if you're taking a kilo and cooking that up, are you selling them in dimes?
No,
what are the bottles?
We alternate it. Mm-hmm. If the only strong crew around like us was Purple Top, and we had a Cold War with them, and we had a neutral block between us, which is 106th Street. So they have from 105th Street down, and we have from 107th Street to 110th Street. Mm-hmm. So on 106th Street, they and neither did we let anybody work there. That was just empty block, right?
Wow.
And sometimes you could probably find somebody that was sneaker, but it's not even worth addressing because you got heat coming from both sides, you know?
Right.
So if Purple Top is selling, it goes by numbers, the vials. For example, 031, right? If they're selling 031 round bottles, we'll sell 027 illusion bottles. Illusion meaning, picture a shot glass at a bar. See the bottom of it?
Mm-hmm.
Which is designed so you get less liquor, but it looks like you got a lot. So we would use illusion vials that are smaller than theirs in reality, but look like they're more because of the illusion.
Right.
You know?
Wow.
And then we figured out if we use the caps that belong to the old 34 bottles, those come with a stem inside. It's not just the cap. So you would see a little, and then you just have to fill the vial to that little stem and it's full.
Mm-hmm.
So why use the ones that are without a stem? You have to keep putting more in. And then we figured out instead of just smashing the crack and filling a vial, if you cut it in perfect little miniature boxes smaller than a Tic Tac,
right,
you could stack them on each other and less goes in.
Wow. So you weren't even weighing these out.
No, never.
It's just whatever fills that bottle and you decide to charge whatever you think you can get for that.
Yes. So they would sell 031s for $5. We would sell 027s for $3.
Okay. So you're selling $3 and they get one free?
This is different. If I come outside today and they have 028, we're going to put 034. They selling them for $5. These are $4. Now tomorrow they switch that up and they selling nicks. We're going to sell trays.
Right.
In order to continually assault them.
Right.
Because they already have all their work prepared.
Yeah.
So they have to finish it.
Yeah.
But we switching every day and they can't keep up. And that's how we climbed over them.
You're literally operating like it's any other commodity. It's like the stock market, up and down Coke prices every day.
Depending on the day-to-day basis. So when we did the buy one, get one free, we never gave away anything for free. Everybody just felt like they were getting something for free.
Well, you're still profiting. So what do you off of a kilo?
No, I mean, they never got an extra bottle. They never got the
Why
extra
did you
vial.
say? Okay.
They got 2 vials.
Right.
But this one had the stem in it.
Right.
And the little piece that was taken out from there goes into that bottle.
It's still the same amount.
It's still the same amount.
Okay. So what do you make? What do you profit off of a kilo of powder that you cooked up into rock?
That always was something. That was always something that alternated.
Sure.
You know?
What are the variations?
Let's say we make out of 029 30,000 vials, which is usually you're trying to make 25 or 30,000 vials out of a key, right? And I'm gonna sell them for $3. That's 90 grand.
Yeah. Wow.
Incredible. And the key goes in a week.
Incredible.
Because we used to leave hours for the other. So now we told everyone they cannot work around there. No. Now there was no Dominicans working. You cannot work between 6 at night and 6 in the morning at all, unless you're working for Yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So where we're gonna work? A lot of them asked. Well, you could work from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, but that meant all of them had to work during that time. So it made it harder for them.
And who's negotiating? You guys are teenagers, and you're
but we have big guns.
You're operating like countries. You're operating like countries with truces. Hey, no, but this is a neutral block. It's insane. It's
insane now when I think of it. Then it was just normal.
Yeah,
normal for us, you know. And they tried to get us out, but it didn't work. We were like, we not leaving this at all.
So did you have to drop bodies in order to? When you say big guns, what do you mean?
We you know, when we got arrested, we charged with 9 homicides and 14 attempted murders. In 94.
And that was in the course of running those blocks between 107th and 111th.
You know, occasionally somebody the problems we had were all territorial. We didn't have none of the violence. What I'm trying to tell you is had to do with I'm somebody's girl or somebody did something to me personally. It was always business. And
that's literally the opposite of the violence. There's no violence over territory anymore in New York over the drug trade, because it's like it's all done on cell phones.
I don't know of any.
I think it's all done on cell phones. And,
and people do services now.
Yeah, and delivery, right?
Yeah.
So how many people did you have working for you?
Oh, there was 48 employees. Yeah.
You and Tito
Yeah.
running it.
So 46 plus him and I.
How did you, and these are all Puerto Ricans?
We had 2 black dudes. Shout out to Damien, shout out to Raheem. And everybody else was Puerto Rican or Dominican. And maybe 6 Riveras, 8 De La Cruz. Get it?
Yeah.
3 cousins, 4 brothers, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No white guys?
No, I don't remember any.
I was joking.
Yeah, I know.
Did white people come through buy-in though?
What? Of course.
Yeah.
Had pilots stopping in yellow taxis to get online. I got a 95. I got a 95 on my report card because my Spanish teacher got on my line and I was like, yo, we have to talk.
Wow.
I traded crack to get that grade.
Wow.
Straight up.
That's wild. And then you're showing up to school and
I didn't have to go to his class no more.
But you kind of went to school still.
I went to school to chicks like 3rd period, 4th period, see who I could take to the Capri Motel with me or take them to another hotel. But I was no longer interested in school. I didn't understand what is the point of school.
Yeah, you just made more in a week than the teacher makes all year.
And you know, before that time, my purpose of going to school wasn't to learn either. My purpose of going to school was to like, I'm gonna be warm for 8 hours in school, depending on where we living at. Sometimes we don't have heat. So I'm gonna be warm in school and I'm gonna eat this, that, and then I come home.
So what did you do for mommy when you came up and you know now Yellow Top Crew's running? Did you move your mom out of the SRO?
Oh, of course, yeah. We ended up living on 107th Street in Amsterdam, the Upper West Side, which is very trendy now. Yeah, and she kept that apartment for 30 years.
Wow.
When I got arrested, I sent her to Puerto Rico and I encouraged her to find a house. My mother would never accept money from me. I would have to sneak money into her coats, into her purse. If she's in her sister's house for the weekend like in Brooklyn, like throw away her dresser or the bed and get new. Otherwise, she won't accept it.
Right.
So with her, it was never a money thing. And she never knew really what I was doing. I told her I work in this store in the Bronx. I gave her a far address knowing she's never gonna go over there because she don't really. My mother would never. People in the building didn't know that was my mother. She wouldn't come outside.
Yeah,
it's always been that way. She's just very very shy.
So your crew of 46 people who you didn't discriminate, you let out. You were an equal opportunity employer.
That's right. I don't want nobody suing me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Me too, and you. How much did they get paid? How did the shifts work? I know it was 12 and 12 usually back then. Can you explain for the people like how crack crews operated, like the employees?
Yeah, there was a number of ways, and we tried them all. The way I liked the most was paying them off of bundles because they pay themselves, and you don't have a payroll. You know, and
what is that?
Their incentive is greater.
Sell more. Yeah.
So let's say when we were doing deuces, $2 bottles, right? That's when we killed everybody, right? $2 bottles, right? They would get 100-pack. And let's say they get $30 off 100-pack. Yeah. Now 100-pack goes in minutes. Wow. Because they're $2. So anybody that has money to buy from purple at 5 or from green at 10 is no longer gonna do that because they could get more over here. For $5, you buy 1 vial off of purple. With $5, you buy 2 vials off of yellow, and you have enough money to buy a lighter or a stem.
Yeah.
So you get more for your money. And it provided them with a hustle where to all the white guys that don't want to come to buy or are scared, don't want people to know, they don't want to get robbed, and they have that guy that they know that they could trust, they might give him $50 like, yo, go buy me 10 nicks. This guy's buying him 10 deuces.
Right.
And he's giving them to him, and that guy's going to be happy.
Right.
Because he don't know the price. Now, this guy has $30 in his pocket.
Right. So they can do kind of like side transactions.
They do it all day. Yeah. When he smokes those 10, he's going to call that guy again.
Right.
And that guy, again, is either going to have bottles for himself or $30 in his pocket. He do that 10 times a day. He got $300 in his pocket. So they always used to tell us, we with y'all because you can make money with you, not just get high.
Right. Right. So You got 46 people working every day,
Yeah.
and they're selling. How much can?
Well, the shooters weren't working every day. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So you just had shooters. You just had people reserved just for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many crack dealers? How many workers moving bundles every day?
You probably got four guys per shift, but you got a chop up crew that's in the apartment chopping up, you know, and packing.
And how much are they paid?
They're paid $30 per ounce, and they do 10 ounces each, so they get $300 a day. Yeah.
Wow. Incredible money back then in the 80s. I
haven't seen that money yet. Again.
Yeah. Right.
You know, back then it was a burden to have singles, like a real burden. You know, you go, I'm gonna do with all these singles. You know, you got $200,000 in singles. That shit stink. You got crack addicts carrying money in the crack of their ass so they don't get robbed.
Right.
And their shoes. Yeah. They're wet. They're dirty. Yeah. And all that money together starts to stink in your crib.
Right. And then do you have cribs just to hold the money?
Nah, I never had no crib to hold money. We had money to take chicks to, like, you know, and we stashed money there.
Yeah.
What about it wasn't reserved like tradition, like you see a cartel do. You got a crib just to count money. No, I never had that.
Did you have so you had a crew to bag up, vial up. You had the pitchers.
Yes.
Do you also have the lookouts?
Lookouts, managers, yeah.
Okay, so tell us about them. Who were the managers and the lookouts? What were they paid? And what was their function?
So the manager's managing the spot. He could stand as far away as he wants from the spot because he's managing not only for trouble but for the police. Yeah. And they all had earpieces to talk through with the lookout so that they don't have to be going across the street. They could just tell them, yo, the cops are... He could just be standing around and he's just telling them the cops are on Manhattan Avenue right now. And he's not getting hot. He's not yelling, po-po. You know what I'm saying? He's just letting him know on the earpiece. Wow. And then the guy in the middle of the block, his job is to direct the line because there's always a cheese line. Right. And only 5 customers are allowed in at the time to the alley. So his job is to receive information from this guy in Columbus, from that guy on Manhattan Avenue, and by him feeling safe, he tells 5 guys to go in. And now 5 guys come out, 5 go. When that middle guy tells the line, Teddy, all of them disperse. And that's it's not really funny, but it was a weird thing to see because you just see all these people and they all look the same, you know, dirty, disperse. Some will come in between cars, some are crossing the street, some go down the block, some go back up the block, some go around the corner. And the cops will come and they don't know what to do, what's going on, what's happening. Yeah. They could never arrest. There's never been one, up until all of us got arrested, there's never been one YTC arrest because I climbed into an abandoned building and I put a hole in the wall in the bricks with a chisel. Yeah. And so the customers never knew who they were buying from. They could only stick their hand in, and the guy that's in the lobby of that abandoned building, he serves them. And he's in there watching TV, listening to music with stolen electricity. Yeah. One guy shot himself in there trying to shoot a rat. So
that you guys never got pinched on like just a jump out boy raid.
No, it's impossible.
You're too smart for that.
Because when he says Teddy and all them people disperse, the guy that's in the hole, that's what we used to call it, the guy that's working in the hole, he goes upstairs to whatever floor he wants to. Yeah. And gets ready in case something's gonna happen. And in there, you know, on this floor, we got guns. On another floor, we got a lot of drugs stashed, so we don't have to keep bringing it there, you know what I'm saying? And then there's an escape route there because the building that's adjacent to it. We made a deal with one of the tenants who's a customer that if this worker knocks on his window, his bathroom window, it's an alleyway. So the cops can't even see what's going on. This guy runs upstairs, he knocks on the window, he goes through, the guy gets $30 per entry every time.
So he likes when there's foot chases.
He's looking forward to the window getting knocked on.
Yeah, Tuesday and Thursdays. That's what they said when they'd send him through.
Yeah. When we used to, we'll get to that part of the color code thing, but so when he goes up there and he goes through that window, he's in another building on the same block, on the same street, but in another building. So even if the spot were to get raided, and it never did in 5 years, there's nobody there. Right. And you don't know where he went. You don't even know if he's still there. It's an abandoned building. So some apartments have a bunch of debris in it. Some of them have construction in it. old mattresses that you could never search it.
Yeah. People don't know now. Harlem was falling apart back then.
Yeah.
There was just
A lot of dilapidated buildings.
so many places to hide, so many places to run, so many places to stash,
so many places to live in as what's the word? What they call that?
Squatting?
Yeah, squatting. Some people took over abandoned buildings and just cleaned them out, sealed the windows, and that was their building.
Yeah. And now you're in business.
Yeah.
So it's literally 16-year-olds taking over New York City buildings and opening up shop. And now
drug markets.
Yeah. And now it's 30 grand a day or whatever it is.
Yeah. Where you come by, you might see a shooter in the window. He came to the block to hang out, to supervise, make sure there ain't no problems. Yeah. And he has his gun and he's on the third floor, apartment 3B, but there's no window. There's no window there. Right. Wind goes through and everything. Yeah. And you come down the block and you might have to tell him, yo, I can see you from half the block. You got to get out the window. It was an adventure and a wild time because you could literally have a shootout out of an abandoned building. You shooting out into the street.
So you have people dumping down onto the street.
It has happened, yeah.
Like snipers in a war.
Not one shot sniper. I'm talking about clang clang rapid fire.
Wow.
Because somebody showed up that we know is up to no good.
Trying to rob you.
Trying to stick us up or plot, you know. It was a coveted position for Tito and I to have. Well, who owns Yellow Top? Them two little kids.
Yeah, and so the colors of the tops were used as a way... Branding, exactly. You guys, it was all about marketing and branding. Some people press the glassine bags of heroin. They would put a stamp on it, like Boy George, Obsession, right? Yeah. But with the crack, it was vials. So, Yellow Top, that meant 107th through 111th. And that was good dope. Those are the $2 bottles.
Color coordinated,
Right. And so, who were the closest competition?
Purple.
The purple top.
But this didn't exist. The color thing didn't exist until we got there. We the ones that said, this is how this is going to go. And we did that to try to emulate our mentor with his heroin operations. Because we couldn't find good heroin. That's why we didn't get into that. So in order to benefit from the branding, we said we could use colors. I think it was Tito that decided that. We could use colors. So then we went to the smoke shop and picked the color, and we picked yellow. And then we went around to the other people and told them, you can't sell yellow. This is what we're going to do. This is how this is going to be. Pick a color from this chart, and that's going to be your color. And they had to pick a chart. You pick pink, that's it. You're going to be pink from now on. Wow. Next guy. Silver, green. Nobody can sell yellow. So if you sell yellow, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely trying to disrespect and, and take money out of what we're doing.
Wow.
So nobody never did that.
You were able to wield such power. Like you just told other crews what it was and they listened to you.
Well,
why is that?
I don't know at the time if it was about power. I think it made sense to them, Right.
It was just logical.
Yeah.
Like
because it's the benefit. It's beneficial.
Yeah.
People that are coming through for yellow are not gonna stop if you're saying black top,
right.
green top, silver top. They coming for yellow.
Wow.
And that's it.
Think about Wall Street white boy traders coming from the financial district, the place that runs the world, right? Guys making millions of dollars back then in the 80s, and they know what yellow tops are from black kids in Harlem.
And
do you know what I mean? How wild is that?
And they have. I've sat with some while they have smoked our product.
Yeah.
And I would wonder, how is this dude not dead? He is popping. This is in 92. He is popping. That's when I first learned about Percocets. He is popping Percocets. He's drinking whiskey and he's smoking crack in front of me.
Holy
crazy.
Wall Street, dude.
And then suit and tie and shoes and cufflinks and all of that. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, drama.
Yeah, but those are good customers. Those are good fiends.
Those are the dudes that will come and they give you $500 bills and tell you, let me get what you got for me for that.
Yeah. And I don't want any problems. I just want to get out of here. So if you have you got workers, how many, so say a bundle's 100 bottles. How many bundles are you moving a day in these blocks? I know it's a hard question.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You got 2 shifts. Let's say 50 bundles this shift, 60 bundles that shift, but tomorrow is 100 bundles per shift. At a point where how we will calculate is by the hour. And you're selling $900 an hour. So we know they selling 300 vials an hour when we're doing trades.
Oh my God.
Or they'll beep and put 8. And that means they're going through 8. They made $800 an hour.
Yeah.
So we know we got 16 hours, $800 or $900, 16 hours today. But if it's between the 1st and the 7th and people got their checks or their SSI checks or their welfare checks, we know that that's going to increase.
Those were the busiest times?
Those are the busiest time because we are 3 blocks away from a major housing project.
Right.
So all that flow is coming over there.
Right. Oh my God. Tens of thousands of people.
And sometimes it gets scary because you can't stop these people from coming, and you don't want to at the time discourage them.
Yeah.
But the cops might be coming. They might be 3 blocks away, and there's nothing going on because this guy already said Teddy, and everybody's put away. But all these people that are coming from 150th Street, 104th Street, 103rd Street, they don't know that the cops is on 108th Street. And even if they are, they don't have to worry about that because they're not actually doing nothing yet. But they're all stopping on 107th Street, so there was a constant presence of all kind of filth.
When would you decide to switch a spot up?
What you mean switch a spot?
Meaning, so you've got different locations. This is all happening between 107th and 111th, right?
110th.
110th. Okay, so basically 4 blocks where you stash, you cook, you distribute, you count, rinse and repeat. Where the fiends actually go to the lines, did you start moving them indoors as the blocks got hotter and there was more cops around? Or where did you actually do the serving from? And when would you decide to like switch up a location to serve?
Okay.
To go hand to hand.
So since we are primarily on 107th Street, we mostly stuck to 107th Street, but we can put it in any of those other blocks.
Okay.
We never would do that. There came a time where we're paying some cops off and they're letting us know during this time. I skipped, we could go back whenever you want. So there came a time where we paying some cops off and they're letting us know they're watching you from this window, all right? That's what's gonna happen tomorrow. That's what happened yesterday, whatever they say. So we tell the guys, go around the corner. You can't film around the corner. Yeah? And now they can film that building all day. Nothing is happening there. So the guys will work around the corner for 2 days or 3 days and any building that we pick. But we had certain ones where the tenants weren't complaining about this action in their lobby.
Right.
And everybody in there kind of like looked the other way. And then we don't want to be in those other buildings because over there, the church guy lives there. He's going to make a big deal. You can't really do nothing to him. So we would alternate buildings, not blocks.
Right.
And then, let me see. There came a time during that investigation that we would let the guys sell on the street, but across the street, because that's the building they're filming from outwardly. So they can't film downwardly.
I see. So
and we played that game constantly every day, you know? Sometimes they will come and the anti-crime unit would park in front of the building. They would get out the car and throw a stink bomb inside the hole. That's the only thing that they could do. They paying game. They're gonna throw a stink bomb in there.
Wow.
You know? So when they would do that, the rule is to call in a 1013, which is an officer in need of immediate help. So you call in a 1013 on 110th Street in Amsterdam. They have to answer. They're 3 blocks away. So they have to go over there and look around. And while they're looking around and trying to figure out what the fuck happened, all the customers are there.
Right.
And the minute somebody says Teddy because they're at the light over there, everything shuts down. They might come back and be like, but an hour later, you make another call on robbery in progress on 108th Street. They again have to go. They have to fill out a DD5 and they have to, if they want to come back or give up. And that's the game that we played with them in order to cause a rush, sell. They left. Another crowd is building up. It's time to make another call. Sell it out, and they go back again.
And you have workers on the street who are communicating with the fiends, like, "Hey, it's down the block. It's in that building. It's that big. Go, 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 go."
Yes. Yeah. Today we in 62. That's a building on 107th Street. Or we're in 64. We're in 65. We're in 71 around the corner, and that's who they will follow.
And
the guy on the corner working at the time, his name was Feeney, a good friend of mine to this day, and he's the only one that would be there with an Armani suit, shirt, tie, shoes, Dora.
Yeah.
He didn't fit like he was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
But he was a staple to us.
Smart. Smart. So is that how they knew who to look for, the fiends? Because the guys that steering the customers,
the
those
same
are
guys. Those are the same guys.
Right. So you wanted to keep the same guys.
Yeah,
So
the face.
Yep. Exactly. Now, about the cops, paying the cops off, what was that about? Who were they, and how much did you have to pay them?
So
how did that come about?
That kid, Tito organized that through a guy that we know and that used to work for us. And that cop, he ended up pleading guilty to a YTC indictment. And how it worked is I was in jail when Tito made that connection. And so when I got out, he introduced me to him. And now we would meet him on 17th Street in a building that was familiar to him. And that's where the introduction took place. And then anytime to get information, we got to go meet him in that building.
Yeah.
And also occasionally he could slip something as he's passing in the neighborhood, or he stops you in your car.
Yeah.
But mainly we'll meet him in his building down there. And he would tell us, yo, this guy has a warrant, or this guy made a sale, or you better hide this guy, they're looking for him, or this guy's a witness in the shooting, they picked him up and took him to grand jury, whatever. Or that's what he would give us. But if we have specific questions, he would also answer them. Or if we want him to take down a picture in the precinct, they have like a warrant board, so the cops during roll call could look at it in case when they get in their cars, they have a fresh look of people that are wanted. So, you could take that picture down from there. He would, whatever he could do, he would do.
How much would you pay him?
It depends, usually $500 to meet him, talk for 10 minutes, see you later. That's that. He wants a scoop on coke because he used to sniff coke. Like, yeah, you could go take coke from this dude. It's gonna be over here. He puts it in this mailbox, and that's your pay.
And how often were you meeting him?
Right before we got they had a relationship already while I was in.
Okay.
Right before we all went down, I would see him maybe 2 times a month.
Okay. Oh, it's a pretty cheap. That's cheap information. $500 a meet. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you could look at it that way.
It's worth that. It seems like a worthy investment.
It was worth it to us.
Did he give you a piece of information that you remember that like saved your ass? Like, oh, hey, this one of your workers is wearing a wire. Or
no, nothing like that. Nothing like that happened with us. The most valuable information for me was when he would give us information about the guys that I wanted for murder.
In your crew.
Yeah, the drug, thank you and all that. But we weren't really worried about no drug charge. We had the best lawyer in New York City that you could have, and she was like my mother, so she's doing anything and everything. And cases are getting dismissed, and we never worried about drug charges. I had one drug charge, and it was a fake charge they put on me because I got arrested for pistol whipping a dude on 105th Street. I got caught with the machine gun on 107th Street, and I got out 9 hours because of this lawyer and her connections. So that pissed off the actual anti-crime cop that arrested me. He was like, "How the f you out here already?" And then I boasted about my attorney. So all of a sudden I had a burglary charge. Like 2 weeks later, now he's arrested me for burglary. I never burglarized no place.
Why would you?
But I had a chalice in my hand. It was New Year's. I had a chalice and I was pouring Moet into it and drinking out of it on the block. And turns out that chalice was stolen from a church. I bought it. I didn't even know it was gold.
Right.
I didn't even know what I had in my hand, to tell you the truth. And he's supposed to charge me maybe with stolen property, but he charged me with a burglary. So they take me to the 24th precinct and they tell the sergeant, you got to go in front of the desk sergeant and they book you. And he writes down what you were brought in for. And he's like, this dude is not no burglar. And he's like, we need the OT. And he just waved them off. They put me in the pen and that was it. Then I got out from that. So then they charged me with a sale. That's what I was trying to tell you. I only had one sale and it wasn't my sale. I never sold nothing to the cops.
And because you weren't touching anything at this time except the cash at the end of the week.
Yeah, a few titties, some money, that kind of thing.
So what year did you come? I assume the cops and the detectives by now, whatever, 89, 90, when things are
heating up for real in those years.
You're making crazy money. Do they know you and Tito are the guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So you guys never tried to touch Never got caught with anything, but have guns on you.
Yeah, nothing.
So were you?
But that was our fault, because it probably would have helped if we ain't buying motorcycles and cars without license and getting stopped every day for driving cars without license,
Yeah.
And Tito used to rip up the tickets and just throw it back at them. So it would have helped us if we weren't so overt with everything we were doing. Yeah.
So were you doing that? Were you driving like foreign whips and doing that?
Yeah, we had but we were too young, so we didn't look right in these cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has a 5.0 Mustang convertible. I'm in an Acura. We racing down Columbus Avenue. We literally, we kids, we teenagers.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow I'm on a motorcycle speeding all in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 bikes taken from me, DEA and regular police, and that gets around in the precinct. And then I wanted to show off, and my ego was hurt, so I went and bought another one. And this time I wouldn't stop for the police. I would keep going. So we made ourselves hot, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. Well, everybody did, though.
Everybody did. We should have known better, though. We should have known better since everybody else did.
Because you're second generation crack dealers. Crack really hit in 84, 85. You were not then hustling. You were a little too young.
Yes.
Did you look up to cats like Alpo and the Harlem crew, Rich Porter and AZ and all them?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Alpo will come with maybe 30 or 40 other guys on motorcycles through Columbus Avenue. And I was into motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
So I was definitely impressed by that.
Yeah. Were they already in prison by then, or did you ever cross paths with them, Alpo and that whole famous crew?
Yeah. We had a unfortunate incident where one of the members from his crew was shot, and Tito was arrested for it. He was shot in the chest a couple times uptown on 141st. He's a legendary guy. I respect him. His name is Gangster Lou.
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And he was very talented with music.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I heard of Gangster Lou. Did he survive?
Yeah, he survived.
Okay.
They took Tito to the ambulance, and he told the cops it wasn't him.
Do you think you made more money than the other crews?
Yeah, for sure. And we always had more coke. The guy with the most coke is the one that rules.
Unbelievable.
Well, they never had a plug. Like none of the people in that neighborhood there were plugs in the neighborhood. Yeah. But as far as crews and young kids, nobody had what we had.
Did other crews go? Were you still going to the same guy who had the shoe store?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did you get better plugs?
Yeah.
Who was the man at the time? At
the time, I got a plug where I was able to buy for a short while bricks for $15.5.
Love. Yeah. $15.5.
Impossible.
Great coke.
Yeah. A1. At the time, Metro Coke and Scorpion were what was the best. The first generation was Centavo Coke. Centavo is a cent.
Yeah.
And the Coke was called that because it had a lot of that. You could put an ounce, it looks like you got 100 grams. It was fluffy and expanded, soft, right? So it sits there.
Right.
So with the eye, it looks like it's a lot.
Right.
And then you had, at that time, the what reigned supreme was fish scale.
And that's the opposite. That's super compact.
It's compact type, but when you open it, you see the scales.
Yeah.
The shine.
Little yellowish glitter.
So that's what was ruling at the time.
Yeah. And were those Dominicans that you were copping from?
For us, yeah.
Okay.
But when I got, as far as the fish scale, but when I paid the lowest was from a smooth cat from Uptown. His name was Benson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mentioning his name because I got his permission to mention his name. He's still outside. He didn't go down with us.
Wow.
I never mentioned his name. And he was a big motorcycle guy, wheelies,
Mm-hmm.
Racing motorcycles. He was doing a lot of things. He was a young guy also. But, our introduction wasn't so good. Sorry, Benson, if you listen. He had a girlfriend, and she became my girlfriend, and then she became my wife. And obviously, him and I had a fist fight. Then we had a shootout. And then he became my connect.
Wow.
Yeah. And now we tight friends to this day. And none of us talk to her.
What about the shootings? Like, you had 9 murders linked to your indictment.
Yeah.
Can you talk about those?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Well, first of all, what were they over?
Well, this is the thing. We got indicted for all those murders, right? But it wasn't necessarily because it's Tito or me associated with those other murders. Some of them were ours. But the ones that weren't is because I hired a guy because I know he shoots. Because now, 2 years later, when we get arrested, or 3 years later, who did different people for different timing, he still has that murder. But he's down with YTC. So, it's like a camera trick that they did. They're going to include it like if it was belonging to us, and it is not. It just belongs to him. But he wasn't working for us when he killed that guy.
Right. They just lump it in.
I hired him because I know he kills guys, right?
Yeah.
Or I hired him because I know that he is, unapproachable. So that benefits me to have their presence around always.
And who were these killers
back
then during the crack era? Like, who are these killers? Are they teenagers like you guys?
Yeah.
Are they junkies?
No.
So junkies. These are like real, like,
young
murders.
guys like us. Yeah. Young guys like us that that's what they into. It's no different than now. It's no different.
That's crazy. Seems a little young, to be like doing something
like just like now.
It seems like, but it's so serious. Murder's so serious,
Yeah, murder's, he can't get no more serious than that.
How much would it cost you back then to get somebody taken out?
It don't really cost nothing, but if you are part of an organization, it ain't about I'm paying you extra.
Per body.
Well,
how much were your shooters on retainer? Like, how much did you pay your shooters just to be there?
Well, that depended on who was who. Some guy might get $5,000 and he might have not shot nobody in 6 months, but he gets $5,000 out that money every week.
Right. Right.
So if you got $5,000 for the last 3 months and you got 40,000 or 50,000, whatever it is, you didn't do nothing, but now you got to do something.
Yeah.
You already got paid.
Right.
Wow.
So you paid.
And some people would be willing to shoot based on the loyalty to the crew.
Right.
So he's telling you, yo, I'm going to light this dude up because of this reason. This is what he did, or this is what he said, or this is what I found he's trying to do. And it was up to Tito and I to decide yes or no. And if both of us didn't decide yes together, the rule between he and I is it doesn't get done. So we both have to vote on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So was there ever a rift between you and Tito, or were you guys always like in sync?
Yeah, we were to this day.
So, wow. So you had shooters just paid just in case you needed them, basically.
Listen,
that's
wild. It was a chaotic time. Yeah. And then there's people trying to get at us all the time.
So you knew you were going to need them.
Yeah, you know that for sure. You knew, in fact, we knew we can't survive without them.
Yeah. Okay. So a little more detail if you could, like, why would somebody have to get knocked off for a couple, just give us a couple of reasons why.
If you are plotting to kill us, that happened a few times.
Yeah.
If you are, if you stole a significant amount of work, right?
Like if you were a worker. And
but I'm saying those are the reasons. Right. That particular thing never happened with us. For instance, there was a shooting in Harlem that had nothing to do with us, but it was by 3 members of our crew. It had nothing to do with us. It had something to do with one guy driving his car in a neighborhood. That was the newest guy that was down with us, right? So he had no say-so and no seniority. But he was driving down a block in Harlem. He was looking at some people strange. They look at him strange. He mouthed off to them. They shot at him, hit the car. He comes back to the block. He lies to 2 other employees and tells them that I and Tito want them to go handle the block. They go believe him and they go with him. And somebody ends up dead. That's a YTC murder.
Right.
But it had nothing to do with me and Tito at all.
Did you ever get robbed? Did stick-up boys ever get to you? Stick-up kids?
To me personally, you mean?
Yeah,
or the
to your crew.
No. To 2 members one time when I opened up another spot a few blocks over, they got robbed once or twice by the same guy. But we never found him. We would go looking for him, like, let's go see if this dude is around. Randomly, and we never found him.
Did you ever have workers get shot at by like crews? Because if you're selling deuces, now you're up everybody else's business for
but that was our neighborhood, so there was no. We were the hierarchy. There's no voting.
Yeah,
There's no grievance box. There's no complaint box.
That's what I mean. So you have people on the front lines getting shot at, though.
There's been a few guys that have gotten shot at and shot. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And one time, Tito got shot crossing the street, but he had a bulletproof vest on. The guys in the car took off. We know who did it. One of them is dead. One of them is sometimes back in the neighborhood right now.
Did that murder?
He didn't die.
But the guy who did? Well, I guess my question is, were there any murders that went unsolved to this day?
Nah, hell no, man. You know, when you get an indictment, right, you either feel lucky or happy that something is not known about you.
Mm-hmm.
Or you are eternally depressed because you know they have everything. That's the ladder we fell into.
Yeah.
It was a 95 count indictment. It was more than 100 pages. And everything was in there. For instance, we had a stash apartment in Allen. Is it Allen? Somewhere in the Bronx, right? And the owner of that house lived in the first floor. And the duplex that we had was on the second floor. And we had two guys living in there that were on the run for a murder, right? And they would take their girlfriends there too, and they would stay there with them. So the only way for them two guys to make money is to chop up.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to give them work to chop up constantly so they could, make money. But now they're playing music. And both of them sometimes arguing with their girlfriends. The guy from downstairs, the owner, he's saying they gotta go. I don't want them here no more. So Tito and I go and we moved them to Parkchester. That's the area in the Bronx. And we rent a little co-op and we move them in there. On the day we move them in there, it gets raided while we're downstairs. One guy is upstairs in the apartment putting things away. One guy is downstairs ordering pizza to take back upstairs. Tito and I are downstairs waiting to leave. Our job is done. We moved them there safely. We moved guns, silencers, grenades, everything into there, crack. There was even some dope we moved into there. Boom. 1 hour after everything is done, they got raided. They found street sweepers, silencers, machine gun, calico, 38, 9mm, crack, Kia coke, dope, jewelry. And worst of all, both of their girlfriends' cards for those census where when you're pregnant, that's an ID.
Mm-hmm.
So when we finally got arrested, on the indictment was all of that, even though no one got caught.
Right.
Even though it was a fake lease, even though there was no prints taking or nothing, all that stuff got confiscated, but nobody got arrested. The guy that was in the apartment was Damon, and he jumped out the window in boxers, no sneakers on, and ran and got away.
Yeah.
Tito that was downstairs buying the pizza to take upstairs, the other guy that's on the run, he saw when they came.
Yeah.
He's wanted for murder.
Right.
For two of them.
Yeah.
So he left. He called us and told us what happened. And we went back. And then we picked up Damon and tried to reorganize, see what the damage was.
Yeah.
But bomb squad was there because of the grenades. So that made the problems bigger. You're like, man, this is an issue now.
Why you guys were running around with grenades back then?
Those are good to throw in somebody's car, we were thinking at the time.
Where would you get grenades from?
That is sold everywhere back then. When you're a guy, he would come with like a portfolio suitcase. It's not a suitcase, but the artists have these big leather suitcases they put canvases into.
Yeah.
So he would come with that, and he would have an AK. This week he got an AK-47 in there. He got 238s. He got 2 grenades. He got some other. He got whatever he's selling, and he sells that, and then he goes back to Virginia. He comes back again. He's like, yo, I got more shit you need. Boom, boom, boom. But he's doing that with different people in the neighborhood.
Right. So everybody is armed to the teeth.
Everybody's armed to the teeth, but the people that could buy the most is us because we're making the most. Yeah. So everybody knew, like, them little kids have a lot of guns. They wild. They're dangerous. So, leave them alone is what they used to say.
And you had a street sweeper at one point?
We had a few street sweepers. That's on the indictment also. Yeah. Street sweepers at the time were easy to get,
Wow.
The hardest, or the most unique guns at the time that we got, for me at least, was a Calico and a Desert Eagle, because at the time, that's my first time seeing a Desert Eagle,
That's a big gun for a little guy like you.
No
offense.
But we got rid of that. That was too big.
All right.
We got rid of it.
It's not like a New York gun.
Nah, it is like some Charles Bronson.
Yeah,
bro.
right.
I used to carry around Glocks. That's what I used to carry around.
Uh-huh.
That was my favorite gun at the time.
Yeah.
Or the Beretta, the lethal weapon Beretta, 15 shot.
Wow.
And all those weapons were easy. $500, $400,
Yeah.
$300 to buy.
Yeah. It's nothing. It's one bundle.
Remind me whenever you remember,
Mhm.
so I don't interrupt your flow, to tell you about this gun dealer that.
No, I want to hear about it.
Just remind me.
No, I'd like to hear about it right now.
Okay, so I'm in the neighborhood and I'm on the block and I see Gloria. That's a skinny white chick. She's this skinny, but she wear black tights. So the tights are baggy on her. You know, them spandex tights.
Uh-huh.
So she's bringing a customer to the spot, and that gets my attention. He's a white dude. So I'm checking it out, looking, but she is from here. You know what I'm saying? She is purple and she's yellow and she's silver.
Yeah.
So I'm trusting that she knows what the hell she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So she brings him in there. He steps out. He waits for her in a pickup truck. She goes back in. They leave. I'm still on the block. They come back. She does the same thing. I go into the building and I ask, "What's up with homegirl? What she keep coming away?" "Oh, yo, my employee tells me she bring me a gun and then she bring me another one." I'm like, "Gun? He's not a gun guy." He goes, "Yeah." He shows me in the box. He shows me a 32. He shows me a 38 in the box. Like, where she got that from? I don't match her. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, "I don't know." So I go back up the block. I'm trying to see where she's at, what's going on, because she's trading guns for bundles. Oh. And the bundle is a deuce bundle. So you're selling guns for $200. I want to know who the you are, buy a bunch of them off of you.
Yeah.
You know, get them for less than $200.
Right.
So she comes back again with the guy. I walk to the pickup and I look, and the entire back of the pickup is just boxes. Wow. And I go, nah, it can't be. What the I had a V-neck t-shirt on, so I take off the V-neck t-shirt on and I cover my face. I go in my mailbox, I get a hammer, and I come outside and I decide I'm just gonna stick this dude up and take the pickup, take everything he got back there.
Yeah.
I hid behind a car. I don't think they see me, but I believe they did see me, because when that time when she came out the building, he reversed out of the block instead of going forward where I was going to intercept him at. But what I didn't know, and what he didn't know, obviously, is that earlier they repeated that process on Amsterdam Avenue and sold guns up there. So other guys had the same idea. So when he reversed and left, he knew he wasn't coming back here, I'm assuming. And he started going back up there to buy. And up there they robbed him and shot him and took 84 guns from the back of. He was in Clinton Correctional Facility with me later on, years later.
Damn.
They took every gun he had in the back and his personal gun from him.
Wow. Now the whole hood uptown is strapped.
Unfortunately, the guys that did that were enemies of ours. So now we had to think about it, like, damn, this got all those guns. And some of those guns are the ones that, 4 of those guns are the ones that we used on the last time a hit was put on me and on Tito. In his case, he got shot in the head and in the arm, and a sergeant that was supervising or surveillance on the YTC spot also got shot that day. Wow. But those guns produced that kind of attitude where everybody could get shot.
Wow. When you found out, how would you find out there were hits on you? And where were those coming from?
One time, word of mouth. And the other times, I just saw it when it was happening. And I was just blessed to catch up on it and make my own moves.
Okay. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, which one?
All of them.
So one time I'm standing on the corner with this dude that was down with us. His name was Jesus. And we observed this lady coming towards us. She's looking a little weird. She has a dress on, and it's late night, and she walks towards us. And when she gets closer and closer, I see she has some ugly ass ankles. And that leads me to see she has sneakers on. So I'm like, what the f-? Turns out it wasn't a chick. It's just a dude dressed in a dress. When he came out the store and passed us, he looked over to us and pulled out. Well, you could see, if you're into that lifestyle, somebody passes you, what motion they're doing, and you could assume safely what that might be. So by the time he as soon as he started turning around, we dispersed. He shot, but he didn't shoot any of us. He didn't get any of us. There's another time where, because of the shooting with Gangster Lou, two guys that we believe was associated to that crew. We don't know who they were, what they are, what they were paid, what their names are, but they were on the block. And one of my employees called me and told me, yo, there's two suspicious dudes over here, blah, blah, blah. His name is Mejo. And turns out they had bulletproof vests on and machine guns. They got arrested on the block. You can't be on that hot-ass block standing around with that on you.
Yeah.
Unless you one of us and we have stash spots for it. Mailboxes, the grocery store, the homeboy allows us to do that in there, or the buildings, or the abandoned building. So they got arrested for that. The last time they tried to hit me was in 94. And 3 times I've played dead. The last time, it was Raymond, who is in Wendy Correctional Facility right now with 42 years. He put out a hit on us because he offered to pay us money to sell heroin on our blocks. And I told him no. He wasn't happy about that. So he started selling $3 bottles on Amsterdam. Not himself, but he gave drugs to somebody to do that. So I went over there, took the drugs from the guy, pulled out on him, took his money, threw it in the street so that it's not like I'm trying to rob you. I'm saying you and let everybody take it for free.
Yeah.
So then he decided, all right, I'm going to put a hit out on them. So he got a guy that was down with us to give him, to deliver to him a picture of me that he got from my apartment, and for him to hug Tito when he's in a cab, pointing out, look, the guy that's getting hugged, that's one of them. His name is Tito, and this is the other guy. This is a picture of him. So a 5-member team came through. If you want, I got the paperwork for that, like the sentencing minutes. If you need it to include it, I can send it to you. I didn't bring that, and I didn't send that to Brian. I did send him a bunch of stuff, but I could send that to you. So he distributed these guns, and he paid $20,000 for me, $20,000 for Tito, so we could get hit. So I'm walking up the block one day where I live on 107th Street, and I noticed 3 guys walking behind me. I don't know them, and I get the feeling, I get this eerie feeling. So I'm like, I walk a little more, I stop, they stop. This happened 3 times. I walk again, I'm trying to get up the block. I'm racing with time because at any minute, this could decide to start shooting if I'm correct in what I'm assuming. So the 3rd time that I stop and look back, these dummies start looking at the sky. They in a near star on Columbus Avenue sky. And I'm like, yeah, something's up with this. So I go around the corner and I go into the grocery store where we have guns and where we have say-so. So one of them walks in behind me. Boom. Now my heart. You never been scared that at least in your ears, you could hear your heart? Maybe you're not even hearing. Maybe it's a vibration. I don't know. But you, boom. That's how I felt. Because now I know this is for sure. He monkeys around looking for potato chips, but every time he grabs an item to purchase, he looks at me. And he grabs a soda and he looks at me. He puts it on the counter. He talks to the guy about some cigarettes. He turns around and he looks at me. Now I'm certain there's going to be an issue here. So I walk out the store, but I jam the door with my leg so he can't push it. The other 2 guys are standing right there, though. So now I'm trying to figure out, how do I get past these 2 dudes? So I look at the traffic, and it's coming slow. And as soon as it gets closer, I'm going to just sprint across the street and hope that the cars, as I pass them, are putting distance or blocking what I think could be happening here. I do that. I sprint across the street. Across the street, now I'm talking to an employee that used to be down with us from Chelsea, and I'm telling him, yo, this is what's going on. I think these dudes is a problem. And I have another dude that's down with us, and his name is Ernie. I didn't tell Ernie because the last time me and Ernie were looking at people that had an issue with us, Ernie shot 5 people, and now we went to jail for 5 attempted murders. So I didn't want to tell him because his trigger finger's going to be faster, right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking to this guy, but this guy puts in work too, right? He puts in, for sure work. So I'm talking to him and telling him, yo, this is what's happening. And Ernie is rolling a blunt, and he's looking at what I'm talking about. Even though I'm not talking to him, he looking over my shoulder, and he finally says, he licks the paper and goes, I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to go get a gun. and he starts to cross the street to the spot. When he got over there, he has to go in the building to get it and holster it and come out. Before any of that could happen, the guy I'm talking to grabs me and tries to pull me. Now, I don't know what he's doing or playing, and I snatch his hands off of me. And he didn't waste no time. All I heard was his sneakers. He's running up the block hard. Oh. So I turn around to see what's going on, and there's a dude coming behind me doing this. So now I turn around to start running. I got a few steps, and then I hit my leg on the bumper of a car that was the fender was crashed in, so the bumper was extended out, and I hit the floor when he was shooting. So he thinks he hit me, and I could see him there, and I start shaking, so he could feel. Like I said, I played that a few times, so I'm adding a little something to it because he's still there. And I don't want him to come closer and shoot me. I'm trying to convince him, like, you hit some shit. That's why I'm shaking, and you better get the fuck up out of here.
So he's basically standing over you. He could come down and just put one in your head if you wanted to.
I got that paperwork too if you want.
Wow.
So out the door comes Tito's brother with the gun that Ernie went to go get, and he starts shooting at the dude. He's letting it off. Wow. And now the dude has to run towards 108th Street where there's a car waiting for him and the other guys. And they take off. Now,
damn, that's a hit. 40 grand.
That's a
sloppy
it wasn't
hit.
over. It wasn't over though.
Okay. By the way, where is your gun? Why you buy all these guns all the time?
Because they're near, but I can't have them on me because I already got caught with a machine gun.
Right. Okay. Got it.
That's another felony I don't need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they leave. We don't really know where it came from because it could be anybody. Mm-hmm. And about a week before that, I went and did how could I put this? I did a hostile takeover of 5 kilos in somebody's apartment.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, okay, this is for those 5 kilos that I took.
Right.
But it wasn't that. So 2 days later, Tito's on the block. Everybody's on point. Everybody has to carry. And we're not allowing people to come through the block that you don't know. Mm-hmm. So 3 guys come on the block and they're wearing hoodies. And Raheem, one out of the 2 black dudes that work for us, is telling them, take your hoodies off. Because he's talking with Tito in front of the door of the spot. And they're like, oh, chill, we don't have no problems. We don't have no problems. We're just looking for weed. He's like, all right, but take your hood off. Because I described to Tito what the dude looked like that was on me. And he had like pizza pie face. All the little like acne holes in the face.
Yeah.
And he had his ears stuck out like this.
Okay.
So I gave him that description. So take off your hood. They're trying to see if maybe this is the same people. So they trying to procrastinate, taking off their hoodies and cracking a joke and saying chill. But the minute they started taking off the hoodies, one pulled out. And now Raheem tried to pull Tito inside the building and they start shooting. So Tito got hit right here. And he got hit in the arm. Now, what those twos didn't know is that we're under surveillance for the last 6 months. So on 106th Street in Columbus, there's a car parked. There's a sergeant supervising the surveillance. And there's 2 dudes there. And one of them is recording the yellow top in action. We got that video also as far as the drug operation.
Yeah.
And what you think they're going to do?
Right.
And they pull up right there. It's 1 block away. They come out of their parking and they pull up in front of the building as homeboy's shooting. He thinks this is Yellow Top. Why? They look like they belong in the neighborhood. They're in an undercover car. Right. They got plain clothes on. He don't know who he's shooting at, so he turned around and started shooting at them.
Oh, he's bucking at the cops.
Yeah, and the sergeant got hit in the arm. He was in the back seat. So now they had to take off again to get out the danger.
Yeah.
But what the guy didn't know is that anytime you're doing surveillance, there's multiple cars in the neighborhood station.
Yeah.
In case something happens, they could converge on whatever they want. So he didn't get off the block. He got caught right there.
And he's still doing a bid for that.
I don't think so. He got an elephant man beating on the block.
What is
literally.
that?
You never heard of that movie, The Elephant Man?
I have, but I haven't seen it.
My man he got those Tom and Jerry naps with the 3 little hairs on top.
yeah.
That's what he was looking like. He got TV sets in his eyes.
Yeah.
Got missing teeth. He getting beat. They pressing his face against the bars, and you got buildings and they got the gates, black iron bars around it. They're rubbing his face on the bars. There's ladies in the windows yelling at the cops because they think that's one of the members from Yellow Top. That's from the neighborhood. And he's getting just a little police brutality going on.
Yeah.
So what he did is he made a deal to call his friends to pick him up like he got away. And they had a designated spot where they were supposed to pick him up at. And when they came to pick him up, all of them got arrested.
Right.
And that's how it came out, and we started learning. So I went to their arraignment once I found out that they got caught.
Yeah.
I went to their arraignment because it's baffling me. Who is this? So we could attack.
Yeah.
And they were from Brooklyn, from Sutter Avenue in Brooklyn. Their addresses, their families there. I'm just there listening to their arraignment, and I'm going, I don't got no beef with Brooklyn. And the only dude in the neighborhood that with people from Brooklyn is Raymond. Boom. Suspect number one. So 2 days after that, Raymond is bragging about how Tito got shot in the head, but next time they're going to make sure that they do it better, blah, 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 blah.
Hold on, let me stop you there. What happened? So Tito got hit in the head. Is he leaking? Like, how did he survive that?
He survived because the bullet, from what we understand, first hit they pulled him into the spot and they're closing the door.
Yeah.
They're shooting. The bullet first hit the door, which would slow it down.
Right.
And then hit him.
So it didn't go into his...
No, it was stuck
It was
there.
stuck in like the bony part of the head.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other one was through the arm.
Holy.
So 2 days later, Raymond is bragging on 109th Street about what he did to us. We never made any moves like this against him. It's important to say.
Yeah.
We used to get money with him. We used to buy kilos from him when we are alternating between people that we buy drugs from.
Yeah.
We used to buy kilos from him for 3 points more than the market value, because we just appreciate that he's giving it to us on credit.
Yeah.
And we all cool, and we all go to the Tunnel nightclub together, and the Palladium, and we chilling, we bring bras back to the block. So it's credit, give it to him. It's like paying some interest on a credit card.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we were cool. We some of the same girls together, all this wild shit that people do. So this dude's master plan against us is like, it's like a bully move, because we've never done nothing to him. So now he set this up. He's on 109th Street talking about this. And there were 2 young ladies that heard him because they were near him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away where they were at, because then other people they'll know who they are, and they're still in that neighborhood. So one of those females came and told me, I was on 107th Street in Columbus. She told me, yo, this motherfucker's up there right now, and I heard him say this. That's the first time I found out who it was.
Wow.
Until then, I didn't know where this is coming from. So I said, word. So I went in my mailbox. I got my Glock. I got another Glock from my apartment. I gave it to Fellow, who was my shadow. Rest in peace. And we went to 109th Street to see if we see this guy, to air him out right there. When we went up there, he is in front of his building, and he knows what he did. So, but he doesn't know that we know. So he's looking at me. I'm looking at him. I'm trying to get closer to him, little by little, not push too fast. He's in front of his building, and I don't know what he got on him. And he's there with a few other people, and it's broad daylight.
And you're not thinking like, damn, if the cops are watching us on 107th Street, what's going on 109th? Like, there could be people watching right now.
To tell you the truth, it felt like I had a desert in my mouth and throat of anxiety and dread and the need to take action. You know?
Okay, so you weren't worried about the cops.
I was like in the desert, like as far as what I could see, because I only was seeing him. Even though it was other things going around me, it seemed like everything else was blurred. And I'm seeing him, and I'm trying to make him feel comfortable, so I'm not approaching him. And he's trying to sleep me. He's offering me guns for whomever did that to Tito. You could handle it if you need guns. And I'm like, all right. Boom. Because what he didn't know is that the day before, we also sent for a shooter from Puerto Rico. And that guy, with 2 of our other guys, just passed him, because that's the plan that I created. They passed him. So he's stuck looking at me, but they just drove right by him real slow. And I could see them. And I'm seeing that they stopped. And I'm seeing that Coco got out the car. So I'm entertaining you in your conversation until Coco tapped him in the shoulder. But he is not turning around. He's not turning around because he's assuming whomever he was just chilling with that's trying to get his attention, obviously it's not as important to watch me and fellow. But finally he turned around and 9 shots went off and he fell right there in front of his mother's building.
Done? Dead?
Nope.
Man,
he got shot in
black
the nuts.
People cannot shoot.
Listen, he got shot in the nuts. He got shot in the neck. He got shot in the chest, in the stomach. He got shot in the hip. He got shot 9 times point blank range. Now, I'm there with the mentality of, you got what you deserve. I didn't fuck with you. You fucked with me, right?
Yeah.
And out the corner comes running a blue and white, freeze, with his gun out. Hat falls off. He's freeze. Get on the floor.
Yeah.
My man that's here from Puerto Rico don't speak no English.
Right.
And in Puerto Rico, they shoot back at cops.
Yeah. So
I'm in between the cop and him and the dude on the floor and fellows next to me. And he finally lays down, he puts the gun on the concrete and the cop is reaching him. I tell fellow, shoot. And he's like, no. I say, give me the gun. He's like, no. And he pushes me, says, go, I'll do it. And he pushes me forward and he pulls out his gun. He turns his head so he don't bust his ears. He didn't shoot at the cop. He starts shooting up. Boom, 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 to distract the cop.
Yeah.
The cop goes crazy. He's literally under a car calling for help. Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. And homeboy's over there bleeding. And out of everywhere, you hear sirens because when you call in a 1013, all available cops have to come. It don't matter if you're housing, if you're on a bicycle, if you're giving tickets, they all have to converge. So I'm seeing lights and cops come from everywhere. At the same time, everybody from the neighborhood is running towards 109th Street. And the only people that are walking in the opposite direction is fellow and I, which made us look suspicious. Like, we the only two that are not concerned with knowing what happened over there. Right? So the cop is yelling, he's bugging. I have his testimony also. And I start yelling at Coco to get up. Coco doesn't know me. We haven't met yet.
How much had you paid him?
Nothing yet.
But how much, what was the agreed upon price to bring a hitter from the island?
10 stacks.
10 stacks.
Yeah. Quick one day.
Yeah.
Go back. He'd never been here before. So anyway, he finally gets up. He takes about 3 steps, but then he remembers the gun. So he takes 3 steps back to pick up the gun. That was valuable time. He killed the cop, is yelling, freeze, this, that, the other. He runs down 109th Street. Up 109th Street was coming cops. He didn't make it past 109th Street in Columbus Avenue. Boom. Fellow and I walked to...
What happened? They shoot him?
No, he got arrested.
Okay.
Fellow and I walked to... there was a nautical store at the time on 71st in Columbus. Walked there, bought a new outfit, changed, got rid of that gun that he had, and went to Brooklyn. Went to Brooklyn, made some phone calls to the neighborhood, find out what's happening. Nobody knew nothing. Then somebody I know called me in code and, yo, that bitch ain't died, and just hung up. And that's what they were talking about. They were talking about him in the hospital. In the hospital, he told them, I know who shot me. It was Chango. Whoa. And I'm not talking to none of you cops because YTC has cops in the payroll from your precinct. Wow. I have that statement also. Wow. And that intensified the investigation because now internal affairs had to come on also. Right. And add to this.
Because now you got corrupt cops involved.
Yeah, so that opened up a can of worms. So 4 days later, I come to the neighborhood to pick up some money. I got to go here to pick up $20,000. I got to go over here to pick up $30,000. I ring the first bell. They're not there. I ring the second bell. Is somebody that used to work for me, young kid that I was mentoring. He looks out the window to see who's ringing the bell. Is me. I could tell he just got out of his bed. So I know the money's not fixed. You know, it's not fixed. It's not. So I tell him, I'll be back, bro. I'm coming back to pick that up. That's his sign to get it going. I go back across the street to the first place that I went to pick up money to see if somehow now they answer. They don't answer. I come outside to cross the street. And I'm just going to go up there and help this count this money. And I got boxed in by HIU. 4 cars. That's when I got kidnapped. Well,
Well, we're not done.
No, I
we're
know.
Not far from done.
I'm one. I'm being sarcastic. I didn't get kidnapped. I mean, I got arrested. That's what I'm saying. So they arrested me for the YTC case, and I never made it back out. They didn't give me no bail. I mean, they didn't arrest me for the YTC case. They arrested me for the Raymond shooting.
Right.
And now they didn't give me no bail, and they put me in front of the worst judge that you could have. So my attorney, Lynn Stewart, said, something's going on. You're not supposed to be in this court because this courthouse is just for, organized crime, multiple murders, drug crew. In my mind, to few of those things match, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, I want to know what's going on. She has beef with that judge. That judge before tried to get her indicted for defending another drug gang dude, right? So I'm thinking, but what's up with bail? She's like, this judge doesn't give bail, never, ever. And you get the max, and she runs your time consecutively.
Oh, my God.
So I'm like, what the hell is this? So why am I over here? So I'm in North Facility on Rikers Island, trying to be an entrepreneur, meaning I'm talking with the Colombians trying to meet a new connect because at some point they're going to have to give me bail. And even if they don't give me bail, I could get the connect to Tito. And even if they don't give me bail, I'm not going to get a lot of time for this dude because my lawyer's going to destroy him if he ends up coming to court. So
you figure you could beat this case?
Yeah, I was expecting to. How are you going to come to court? We're going to have to talk about your murders and everything else you've done.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And Raymond is the only thing they have. They don't have any surveillance of you.
No, none of that. There was no cameras or nothing like that. No video, none of that. None of that.
Tell us about your attorney really quick.
Oh,
because,
that's good. That's a legendary lady.
Yeah, please.
You ever heard of her?
Mm-mm.
Well, okay. Her name was Lynn Stewart. Rest in peace. She was Larry Davis' lawyer. She was the Sheikh's lawyer with the World Trade Center bombing. She's done a lot of big cases, a lot of radical cases. Originally, she was a school teacher. She used to say I'm her youngest. I used to say she's my second mom. She has a son named Jeffrey Stewart and Brenna Stewart. Jeffrey Stewart is an attorney still in Manhattan. Her daughter's an immigration attorney. And Lynn was about Black and brown people.
Yeah.
She don't care what you did. She could help you. She could save you. She could beat a case for you. That's what she's gonna do.
Wow.
And
how much were you paying her?
Well, for a murder, $30,000. Drug cases, 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, up to 15,000.
How many cases did she work for your crew in the time it was operating?
I don't know, maybe 24. It's a guess.
Yeah.
They wanted to include her in our indictment. Wow. Yeah, but they couldn't. They wanted to charge her with what that's called?
Like assisting you guys?
Yeah, but they have a name for it. If it comes back to me, it's something counsel, which means you are dedicating an unprofessional amount of time to just helping a drug crew beat cases, and in doing so, you're helping them get ahead.
Right. That's illegal.
When you know that the people that are paying you are who they are, yeah.
Would you, obviously every attorney that gets paid in cash knows where it comes from, but did she know specifically everything that was going on, or did you keep information from her in order for her not to get in trouble?
Well, I definitely never got her in trouble or tried to get her in trouble, but since our case went to that judge, and that judge tried to indict her before for another drug crew, it was what she wanted to do again. It was her second opportunity to do it.
Right. So you're on Rikers, but you feel like you could beat the case. You're trying to meet.
I was definitely going to beat the case. Definitely. Yeah.
Would you ever try to take out a witness? Did that ever cross your mind?
Did we ever? Well, that crossed our minds all the time, but we never had to do it. A threat will work. A payoff will work. A scare will work.
So you guys pulled all that stuff to get witnesses to be quiet.
I've been on my motorcycle and homicide stops me on a motorcycle. When you see homicide stopping a guy on a motorcycle, homicide is homicide. But they got word that I'm in the neighborhood and they stopped me on my motorcycle to threaten me because they heard we have threatened the witness. And it was true what they were telling me. I denied it, but I knew what he was talking about.
So tell us how you're on Rikers with no bail. What happens next?
What you mean?
You're on Rikers fighting this case, fighting the Raymond case.
Yeah. So I'm talking with these Colombians because I'm trying to network to get a connect, either for me or to get them to Tito.
Yeah.
I'm there with them. We socializing every day. It's an easy thing to accomplish.
Yeah.
You know?
This is a big deal. This is
big,
going
big,
above
big
the
deal.
Dominicans.
Yeah,
when you meet the Colombian,
Yeah.
that's the plug. That's the source.
I've had conversations with dudes. They're like, I will have 50 keys in my crib right now, but I can't go to that crib. I'm here with no bail.
Right.
I have a crib over here, and this is what I have. But I can't help. I'm like, yo, but you could call your cousin, your brother. You could trust. I could have somebody with you. I was trying anything I could to shake hand, get a handshake for a connect.
And how much money did you guys have in the re-up? Like, how much money did you have to make a buy if you met one of these cats at your disposal at any given time?
I mean, we would have just put personal money also into it, you know?
Were we talking $250,000?
We're talking about $150.
$150?
Yeah, too. You know, with $150, you pay for half and you get the other half on credit.
Yeah, so you got $300,000
worth of coke.
So we're talking like 100 keys?
No, for
no,
300,000.
Sorry, 300,000 will get you.
No, 300,000 not gonna
300
get you.
keys.
No, at what price?
10 G's. I don't know. Trying to do the math.
Nah. With those dudes, we're gonna get the same price that I got from Benson that time. 15, 16, around there. You know?
Oh, okay. So
for 150, you got 10 bricks.
10
you get
bricks.
20.
Right. Okay. Sure.
And then the next time you get 20, and you get 20.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the goal.
And what's your how many bricks are you buying a week now at this time when you get pinched? Like, how many are moving through the spot?
Well, 5, anywhere between 2 and 5, depending on how much heat is in the neighborhood, how hot we are, how much money is available to put out.
Yeah. Would you guys pick up quantity? Like, would you pick up a month's worth of keys, or would you just
5 is a month?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you're only moving about a brick.
We're moving one
crack.
A week. Yeah, we're moving one a week.
That doesn't sound like a lot.
It doesn't sound like it because you're listening to the one, not the 30,000 vials.
Yeah. Oh, is it hard to source 30,000 vials every week? Like the whoever made these, the companies that made crack vials back in the 80s, dude, they were eating.
They were eating super. I met a lot of Yemenis dudes that's what they were doing.
Wow.
And they would chew on cat all day. You know what that is,
Cat,
right?
Yeah, cat.
I pronounce it wrong. And
you're a cat.
And they would show us their guns. They're like, look what I bought. I bought this in my country. Like you know, AK, M1s with money from this alone.
Wow. So would you actually go to like the wholesaler for the vials?
No, we bought 100 at the time, 110th Street and Lexington Avenue. Every neighbor has smoke shops at the time because smoke shops are getting paid selling drug paraphernalia, mostly in cigarettes and beer.
Yeah.
So we would go to 110th Street in Lexington and we buy, 2 boxes of this, 2 boxes of that. And that's how we was able to switch the caps. And they would allow us to do that.
Right.
Because those caps would go, they could end up with a surplus of vials without caps because they're selling us the caps that go to those vials. But they were cool about it. And we were good customers. So they was whatever we needed, we got.
So what was your price on a single cap, single bottle?
Well, we used to pay $125 per case. So we're buying a $3 bag of vials for $1.25 because we're buying a couple of boxes.
Right. Okay. So you're moving about 30,000 transactions a week.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
but
dude.
more sometimes, I'm just giving you the humble, sometimes people be exaggerating shit in the newspapers. I'm telling you what the real story is. You know what I'm saying?
So, because I love doing these numbers. Like, if you break that
you're
down.
a math guy?
I'm a math guy. I'm not good at math, but I love to break it down to just to give people an idea of how many people were smoking crack in that era. That's 120,000 drug transactions a week. Over 5 years, you've had millions and millions of people coming through your spot.
That's what they said.
It's mind-blowing.
That's what they said. But
so much money in the hood, man.
Every hood is where, and wherever you see extreme poverty, there's a lot of money.
Because it's all going to the rock instead of
going either to the rock or to the coke or right now to the weed.
Yeah,
how many dispensaries aren't open in the city right now? You got sometimes 3 per blocks. 1 on there, 2 on this side. Next block, 1 on this side, 2 on that side. Everywhere you go.
Yeah, you can function smoking weed.
I
know a lot of people function smoking crack too, but
I only see a handful of people who still smoke crack. And I see 2 customers still today that smoke crack that used to smoke our crack. And I wonder how, if both of them are dudes, how are these dudes alive?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe it.
60-year-old smokers. Yeah, I mean, there still are some, eventually their hearts will give out. It's bad for your heart to keep smoking cocaine like that. But, man, I don't know. It's in every hood. There's still crack spots. I'm sure they're still getting it.
There's one in my neighborhood. It's not my neighborhood, but it's 7 blocks away, going towards the east side.
Uh-huh.
You have to also consider that those are transactions on the street. There are drug dealers that will buy 1,000, G-packs from us, 1,000 vials.
Oh, okay, so you were actually selling wholesale to outside crews too.
They weren't crews. They were, they were single dude operations that they take 1,000 cracks with them to Nyack, New York, or Rockland County.
Right.
And it's easier for them to buy it made where they know it's good and it's all packaged, and they don't have to have a stash spot. They don't have to have a place to bag up at, and it's already done. Yeah. And they just get on a bus and they take it with them. And those $3 vials, they're selling them for 10. So they're making more money buying them like that than if they were buying coke and cooking up coke.
Right.
They're not risking losing nothing when they're cooking. None of that, man.
Yeah, there's a small town. That's like kind of small town crack dealing. Your crew is the highest level of professional crack dealing. Do you think that's true?
I believe that. I believed it then. We used to take it very, very, very seriously.
Yeah, so you're 18-year-old kids. I was going to say, this is an enormous amount of responsibility for an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid.
Think about that payroll. You're paying 46 people.
Yeah. Every week?
Every week, you're paying 46 people. The only times that we didn't pay 46 people is when we're paying the pitchers and the lookouts off the bundles.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they're paying themselves.
Mm-hmm. And after paying everybody out, you've got your net for the week. Are you sending money back to Puerto Rico? Like, how are you hiding the money?
I never send no money to Puerto Rico. I was uneducated about money. Mm-hmm. So I'm making money and spending money and women and hotels and trips and jewelry and this car and that motorcycle and these rims and that other motorcycle and that other chain. Stupid.
Yeah, I know. I never like to talk to old kingpins about this because it's like, God, how many buildings could we have bought in Harlem with 1 week's worth of vial money that's worth that white people are spending $2,500 a month on apartments,
studio
with the bathroom in the shower.
Yeah, studios right now.
You know what I mean?
$2,500 in my neighborhood.
Yeah, where you used to
but you're
step
right
over
about
dead
that.
bodies, man. But I never like to bring that up because it's so sad. But how could you?
But I do know what I like. I like to just we only as sick as our secrets, and if you could own the truth, nobody has no power over you with it,
Yeah.
And at the time, to add to that, we personally knew of brownstones that were being sold for $1, and we never, we just were ignorantly willing to die in the same shit that we were doing. You go to you in a club and you ran out of money, you could come uptown and put your own hand in the hole and tell Timmy, let me get $3,000, hurry up.
Yeah.
And you have a 24-hour ATM machine.
It's like you didn't even appreciate at a certain point the power that you had. No. Because it was so normal and you were so young.
And you or I thought that's going to be like this forever. Mm-hmm. So,
do you know of any hustlers that actually got out of the game and like ahead that didn't have to do long bids, that actually invested?
Got out?
Yeah.
I got out and lasted 3 weeks before they arrested me.
No, I meant like
retired.
Retired.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's just too much money. It's unthinkable.
I mean, a lot of people get killed before they could make money or make a lot of money. So our mentor was 23 years old when he was killed. And before we actually met him and got a strong relationship with him, we would hear that he had $1 million party because he got off of this stamp or for no mercy stamp or for whatever other stamp. That might not happen for him with every stamp that he owns, but with that stamp it did, and they're having a party. So he didn't get to retire, and I doubt he ever thought about it. He was, after that shooting on the Houston, 90 days later, he was killed on 109th Street with the other guy that was with him. They were together again, and the same crew came back and killed him. Yeah.
So tell us how you eventually ended up getting out of Rikers for the Raymond shooting.
I never got out. They picked me up and charged me with the YTC case.
Okay,
So while I'm with the Colombians,
Yeah.
and we're watching a soccer that I hate to watch, but I'm saying I gotta watch this. This is a business little, thing we got going on here.
Yeah.
The news came on, the Spanish news, and I see my neighborhood. And then I see one of my guys and another one, and they all on a chain gang getting put into paddy wagons. And I'm looking, and now I'm listening, and now I'm stressed out. So I went into my cell and locked the in. And the next morning, nothing happened. And I still, you got that fear in your chest. Nothing is going on. I'm not trying to move around too much. But the next day, the cell opens. And I know what it is. But I stick my head, I'm like, what's up? With attitude. Like, what you opening my cell for?
Yeah.
Because they're setting up breakfast. And the only people to get released are hospital runs or court runs. So I say, I don't got to go to no hospital. He said, you going to court though? And I said, I don't got no court date. He says, yes, you do. And I said, no, I don't. I'm like, don't say that.
I'm cool where I'm at.
I'm like, stop bothering me. Lock this And he said, you got to go. Now I know you can't refuse. And I know the Ninja Turtles are going to come if I refuse. So he says, handle it in the receiving room. You have one shot in the receiving room to clear up that mistake before they put you on a bus. By telling another CO, and he looks on the computer, and maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they want somebody else. They got your name. Okay. I get down there, and my tone changed rapidly because they said, listen, you're being produced to Supreme Court in Manhattan. You cannot refuse. It's mandatory. So it's up to you whether you go okay or you get down there in an ambulance, but you going. We're going to produce you to the court. So they took me back. I got dressed, came back, went to bullpen, got on the bus, got to court, got the butterflies, the caterpillars, the centimeters, the everything in my stomach. I'm walking through the inside of the court building, and I see that's my employee. Different bullpens.
Yeah.
That's Raheem and this guy. Yeah. That's this guy. That's Tito. That's this one. And they brought us all to formally charge us with the indictment.
Which was?
Yellow Top Crew.
Wow. So they had it like the United States versus Yellow Top Crew?
95 count, 100-page indictment, thick like this. I still have a copy, and that's what we were being charged with. So 5 at a time, 4 at a time, 3 at a time, they took guys up, charged them with their counts on the indictment, and brought them back down. And throughout the whole day, that's what was happening.
Wow.
And then everybody goes back to Rikers Island. When I went back to Rikers Island, now my classification is too high for me to be where I was. So they packed me up and put me in a CMC house. CMC is Central Monitoring Case. And that means Albany has their eye on you all the time. And reports are being, you may not know it, but the CO that's working is given paperwork so he could fill out about whatever you're doing. You playing cards, you sleeping, you hanging out with Blasey, you talking with this guy all day, every day.
Were you charged as the ringleader?
Tito and I both.
Okay. Is this the feds?
This is state.
Wow. That's what I found so crazy is that you were not charged in federal court. Like how the DEA didn't want you, They
wanted us, and they were aware of us, and I've had contact with them because they confiscated a motorcycle from me. I had it for about 4 days, and they confiscated it from me. And they told me, we're taking this bike, and next we're going to take you. And I'm thinking, in my mind,
yeah.
You ain't satisfied with just the motorcycle?
Yeah.
But, so I know they were aware.
Yeah.
And then I tried to hire a lawyer to fight getting my motorcycle back. Because at the time, a law was being used that they could confiscate whatever you got as long as they think it was bought with drug proceeds.
Yeah.
Now you could get it back if you could prove that it wasn't. But you're gonna pay a lawyer like to fight a case, basically.
They call that civil forfeiture.
Civil forfeiture.
It's their way to steal, and they still do it.
They still do that.
They still do it.
They get big money with that.
Yeah, it's theft.
And they use it for themselves, for the police department, for the county, for whatever they decide. They reappropriate it.
They'll take that car they stole from you, they seize from you, and they'll go arrest somebody else with it.
And that's illegal, huh?
But why do you think now in this day and age, if somebody at your level selling that much drugs, that would probably be a Fed case now, right?
It definitely would. I just don't think it was then because there was a lot of garbage in it.
How so?
Well, they may have been aware of the corrupt cops. They may have been aware of flaws in the case. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
And the feds like to have a perfect 98% conviction rate.
Yeah.
So they will pass on a case if it's
not airtight.
Yeah, if they know that could fall apart or this is going to happen or that. They could predict what's going to happen with their experience, you know?
Yeah. And there were so many drug crews in New York City back then that they probably wanted to deal with like your suppliers. Like they want the brick handlers. You know what I mean?
Nah, they want those crack crews too, man. When you selling crack, you making a lot of money, right? But you at the dirtiest level of that game. You there street to street combat. You know, even if it's not you that's selling it.
Right. So it's just, you kind of luck out with getting a state charge, I feel like, right?
Well,
because if you go to the feds and they sentence you to 25 or whatever, you're doing 85% of that. You can parole maybe out of the state and do less time. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like if you have a choice, you'd rather have like state charges because they're easier to beat.
Well, there's benefits to both if you have to deal with that kind of situation. For me, I thought it'd be better to be in the state at the time simply because I could still get conjugal visits. So I'm thinking that's going to be something.
They were doing that back in the
They still do that to this day.
In New York. Wow.
Yeah, that was implemented after the Attica riots.
Yeah. If these guys are getting laid, they're not going to riot.
You got family, chill. There's something to look forward to. You got to behave in order to be a part of that program.
Right.
So it works for them also. You know, they get a benefit. There's a mutual relationship when it comes to that. But the feds, you probably could do better time. You probably could get a decent cop out. The feds, I think the feds are pretty fair when it comes to plea bargains. You know, they give people an opportunity to plead.
Right.
Whereas the state, like with a lot of people in Rafael, you don't take 12 and you blow trial, you're getting 213 years. So there's guys in the feds that take 20 years for 4 murders. Back then.
Yeah. Now, the feds have mandatory minimums for like,
everything.
For the weight, for the quantities in drug cases. In the state of New York, is there something similar? Like
yes.
Did you get hit with the Rockefeller laws, or are those different?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the maximum you were facing?
183 to life.
Yeah. They have to throw that in there. They can't just say 183 years. They got to say 183 to life. If you lived 183, you get to go home. Wow.
But and the state is just, you're doing time in dirty ass places. Is the bottom. So all I'm trying to say is in the feds, it's like a greater caliber of people.
Of course. Yeah, of course. So did you and Tito's also the ringleader?
Yeah.
Is it like a RICO case, like a state case, like it's a federal?
Yeah, without,
do you know what I mean?
Without the RICO mentioning.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same
conspiracy
structure.
1 and conspiracy 2.
Okay.
So we got charged as leaders with every crime.
Right. Even if you didn't touch them, you're the
shit.
leader of a crew.
Every sale that was made goes to us. Even though I'm on a recording telling one of my employees, don't sell to nobody that's coming dressed like this and he's going to have a female. Boop. The dude comes, he's with the female, he's dressed like I told him, and that employee kept selling to him.
Yeah.
Like if he's a crack addict, and he's buying 100 packs at a time, sometimes 300 at a time. Nobody's smoking like that.
Right.
And he's dressed like I told you.
Yeah.
And then I come to the neighborhood and I see you doing it and I tell you and you tell me I'm paranoid. I go stand across the street. This is a true story. I go stand across the street. The customer goes in the building with this particular person. He's wired. And on the tape, he's telling him, you sure you ain't cops? My boss told me that you were probably a cop. And he's like, your boss? Who's your boss? And he, through the little window in the building, telling you see the guy with the red nautical suit? He said, you the police. And like, nah, I ain't no cop, man, I ain't no cop. And he was a cop.
Damn.
And so at some point, he told him, I don't want to keep buying these vials, bro. Introduce me to the boss so I could buy weight. So he told him, I can't introduce you to the bosses, but I could get it for you. And he would get them periodically 100 grams from the Dominicans and sell it to him.
Yeah.
But it's us that are getting charged with those sales because he told him he's getting it from us in order to make the sale.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But he's selling him coke for at the time maybe for like $12 per gram extra. So it don't benefit him to let the guy go. It benefits him to believe that I'm paranoid.
Yeah.
In order for him to, every time that guy comes, he makes $1,500 off of him clean for something that he don't have to put a penny into. He's just getting it from A and giving it to B.
So what are the other workers facing? Like, what are the guys like that? Everybody involved. What are the lesser charges?
Sales, mostly sales, possessions, or conspiracy to sales or possession.
Okay.
That's the most redundant charge.
Yeah. Yeah. So what other evidence besides controlled buys like that and wires? What other evidence did they have when you found the discovery?
They had 14 attempted murders, shootings that, like you said.
But how though? Did they have CIs?
They got CIs, but they got victims, and they don't need his cooperation. They have hospital reports, they have the police reports, and they have the CI that says, yeah, he got shot because of this. So they get mentioned in there. How? Through overacts.
Which is? When
they say, in order to, you made these two moves in furtherance of your conspiracy to do that over there. So these two things that you did, get it? So every RICO conspiracy case is going to include overacts.
Yeah. So this murder, even though it didn't have anything to do with this drug sale or vice versa, it's all part of the one big crime.
Once they put the conspiracy word in there, that's the worst charge you could sometimes have, because
but what
they don't
evidence
need much to prove it.
Like what is it? Did they have any physical evidence? Did they find a gun with a fingerprint on it? Did they find?
They never found. Back then they didn't use DNA like that. There was no gun with fingerprints in it. Nobody got caught with a weapon that was associated with a homicide. None of that happened. But when you have a group with a conspiracy charge and you got 6 to 8 months worth of video footage of this operation, and cheese lines and people in and out, and sometimes a guy comes to the door and he's looking, but you can see a gun in his waist, and they zoom in and they taking pictures of all that, and then later he's talking to you in your car, and they linked us all that way. Conspiracy for everybody. That means all of y'all are related to each other with these crimes.
And did they ever get you on like a Boy George, party where you were spending a bunch of money or anything like that? What did they? What were some of like the wild?
I had no evidence on me, really. I didn't get caught ever with anything as far as that case. I didn't get raided and they found anything. Yeah. Nothing, zero.
So the only thing they ever got you with was an Uzi.
A Mac 10.
A Mac 10, just on like a separate humble.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah. Just on like a fluke, right?
Yeah, and that was included in there too, as an overact. They said you were protecting your neighborhood with this machine gun.
So it was literally just hearsay that you were the boss.
And then they got more than that,
Well, they got the guy pointing out to this undercover that's
what happened.
Pointing out to you that was the.
I quit. I sold a portion. I sold my portion to Tito of Yellow.
For how much?
I don't want to say that.
Come on. Come on.
It was a basement. It was a friendly thing.
Okay.
It was a friendly thing. It wasn't, I need to get something.
Yeah.
And I didn't keep the money. I put it up for somebody else's attorney. Okay. I just didn't want to have to come out of me for it. Okay. So, and then another spot that I had gotten throughout that period, I sold it to the guy that I had managing it. I could tell you that price to him. I told him, just give me 50,000. You don't have to give me now. I'm gonna come get 5 from you this day, 10, 5 that way. That's it. So, what was the question? I got thrown off.
Well, the question was what evidence they had that you were the boss.
Okay, so I didn't get caught with anything. I ain't on no wiretap. I didn't caught a gun again ever. But the word conspiracy is all that they needed, because when Raymond got shot, he said what he said about me. There's been other people that have gotten shot and they said the same thing. I had an argument. I mean, Tito had an argument with a dude on 125th Street one time. I'm with him. I shot him 2 times. That came up on the paperwork. The apartment in Parkchester, the realtor that I and Tito went and got it for, although it was a fake lease, he then admitted that, yeah, it was to us that he rented the apartment to, and we used fake pay stubs. On the lease, I wrote Julio Iglesias, and only him and I knew that, and that came out in court. So that's how So by getting the backstory from different people, they put the case together. By using surveillance all the time and pictures, they knew who's who and who's in the neighborhood and who's controlling. They used pictures of me on the block with maybe 8 guys surrounding me. We all talking to show, look, see, every time he comes to the block, this is the guy. I have all of that in their own words on paperwork.
Yeah. Did they lie at all? Or was it a pretty good case? Did they have?
It was a pretty good case, I would say.
So what was the first plea deal? Did you get a plea deal?
Hold on. Yes, they I don't know if they want to attribute this to lying or if they made a mistake, but one of my co-defendants, Damon, they charged him with a homicide that he didn't do. That was a friend of mine, and they didn't have an explanation. He was just charged with it. We weren't even charged with it. Excuse me. Just he was charged with it. So that's one of the guys that I got the homicide off of him. My plea bargain, I was begging for 25. And they wasn't trying to hear it, and the different DAs changed. And then I have
what about the cops? What about the dirty cops? The cops.
How much time?
No. Were they part of that indictment? Did they arrest them?
Only one of them got arrested out of the 2, and he got his own indictment, and he got arrested, and he pleaded guilty. He got 3 years.
Okay.
He pleaded guilty to bribery.
And the other guy didn't. The other guy got off.
Temporarily. He became a member of the task force. Since he has so much knowledge of the neighborhood and the characters of the neighborhood, they gave him a membership to that task force. And that task force is responsible for arresting the NFL crew, the Wild Cowboys, the Purple Top crew, the Jerry Curl Gang crew, La Compañía, and what's that other famous Natural Born Killer crew. So all of these people that he knew, he became an asset to them because of the people that he knew in the neighborhood. He was able to mingle and find out for them. He had a lot of history. So now he's shining in the pictures for the newspaper with the collars that he's making.
Yeah.
And he got recognized in New Jersey by the cops he sold 3 kilos to. Yeah. And that name is AJ Molino.
And they went and told on him, or how did that?
They came and arrested him. They came and arrested him.
Damn.
They contacted the higher ups in the Manhattan District Attorney's office and let them know they're coming to get him because he's down with that task force and that's at the top.
Wow.
And
so he was shining as like this hero cop.
Yeah. But
then he got caught selling 3 keys.
He already has sold them.
Yeah. So did you have anybody that was threatening? Did the DA say, hey, we got plenty of witnesses if you take this to trial that we're going to testify against you?
They didn't have to tell me that. I knew that already.
Okay. Who were some of those people that would have testified? Did any of your crew break?
There's people breaking every crew. That's normal.
Okay. So you have people that were telling.
I wasn't worried about that because those people just could talk about drugs. We didn't discuss murder and shootings with none of the
workers.
People that are only selling drugs, only looking out, only delivering, only bagging up. There's no purpose. They don't make those decisions.
Did they have your shooters? Did they arrest the shooters?
Everybody. We all got arrested. Nobody got away.
Okay. So you had some of those people would have testified if you had taken it to trial?
Do I believe that? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So how long were you on Rikers for? How long were you fighting him?
I was 3 years.
Yeah. It's a long time to be on Rikers Island.
You've been on Rikers?
No. I've been in Oregon jail and it was long enough, bro.
Oh, well, on Rikers, there's 17 jails and only one is a female jail. And if you CMC, there's only one that you could go to at the time. When you CMC, they keep you in the borough houses, Brooklyn House, Bronx House, and Queens House. So being on Rikers is the worst place you could be. as far as jails.
Yeah. What was your lawyer, Lynn? Was she optimistic? What did she want to do? Did she want to take it to trial?
No,
what was
she told me
telling
we
you?
can't go to trial. And if we do, you have to decide whether you could live with 100 or 183. Because let's say I beat half of it. With this judge, she's never going to be in favor of any motions that I put in, any objections that I make. So, this judge used to be a district attorney.
Yeah.
And now she's a judge, being super hard on crime for the purpose of running for the main position of district attorney in New York County, which she did unsuccessfully 2 times.
Right.
So she had her motive and her plan and her scheme, just like everybody else. The officers and the corrupt task force members had their scheme and their plan. We had our plan. Everybody had a plan.
And it's 1994 now. So
It's 1994, the summer of 1994.
yeah. So New York is coming down hard as on crack, on street crime. It's Giuliani now. So everything, it's no more cowboy years. Like the cowboy years are coming to an end. And these crews that are going down are getting spanked.
And they back to back. 33 days later, I think, same task force, same judge, took Purple Top, our competitors.
Wow. Yeah.
4 months later, they took the people that filled in my spot, that the other spot. That was an independent spot that I had. In 8 months, they caught 8 murders, natural born killers.
Yeah. But you were there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is an eternity.
It
for
is
how
an
much
eternity.
How much dope you were moving, how many
you
people were
start
getting killed.
stinking in that time.
Yeah. So how did how did this resolve itself? How did it adjudicate itself? You did 15. So what did you end up
15
taking?
to life.
Yeah.
I was fighting for Rockefeller relief. I made it all the way to the appeals court with a novice issue, and I had a high power attorney that took the case for free because he was interested in the points that I had, and he wanted to be responsible under his name to establish that for his career. But we lost. So basically, I pleaded guilty to conspiracy to possess and distribute narcotics. The law, when it was reversed for Rockefeller sentencing, only gave relief to you if you have possession or sale. The word conspiracy is not involved.
Right.
So if you get caught with 100 keys, you're eligible for resentencing. If I only planned to get 100 keys from you, I don't get no relief.
God, dude.
So the only way it was worth it is if you got caught with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I've always said that. It's better to get caught with more. Because if it's your if it's your first time, you might as well. It makes no difference. You might as well go as hard as you can on your first run because at least you can go to the feds now. Like in your case, right? Like there's little technicalities in the law, or you can go to the feds and now they have like the what do they call it? Compassionate releases and stuff like that. They make some kind of way for lifers to get out early.
That's only over there though.
Yeah, in the feds.
And Lynn Stewart ended up in federal prison, and that's how she got out. Compassionate release.
Okay, so oh man, should we save that for the Patreon? I want to figure out how your attorney ended up in federal prison. That's wild. We'll save that for the Patreon, but I want to wrap up with your story. So you're fighting it for 3 years, and you eventually take 15 to life. Did Tito take the same thing?
No. See, so, and with this, I'm gonna be a little dicey because I'm not trying to hurt certain people's names, right? That are still in the legal field. So, it was rumored that I had an unethical relationship with a young district attorney that happened to be on that task force, right?
Okay.
So, how could I put this? So one time, I was having a sexual conversation, or one that could be interpreted as such, and one of her colleagues heard it and reported it.
Over the phone?
In person.
Oh, where?
In the courthouse.
Okay.
So
with a DA.
She was one of our DAs.
Damn, it's gangster, bro.
So
props.
So what happens is, I'm not allowed. What I did with her is, I got her to help me get my guys plea bargains. So I got Tito plea bargain. You asked how much. He didn't get 15. He got 12. And then I got Damon 12, but he didn't take it on time. So he ended up taking 15 to 45.
Oof.
And then I got Fellow 6 years. I got Shorty 7 years. I got Sebastian 15 years. Because the trick is, you help me get my guys off, you still come up because you're getting the convictions.
Yeah.
A plea bargain and a trial conviction is the same thing for
numbers.
district. Yeah. So she's building up her resume. She was young, 27 years old, I believe, and young and hot and in there for the, it's kind of unprecedented that she would be there in that position because those dudes that run that task force have 40, 50 years in law enforcement.
Right.
But now she's shining.
Right.
But now this conversation that was heard took her down.
Hold on. So were you?
No.
Really?
No.
You were just having this like.
I mean, no. That's what they said. That's what I'm just telling you. That's what they said that was happening. But like I told you in the beginning, I don't want to tell you too. I'm gonna be dicey about that because, I don't want to get nobody in trouble. That's still a lawyer. That's still doing a career. Is doing whatever they're doing. But it wasn't what they thought it was.
What would there have been? I could ask a question like this: would there have been an opportunity of isolation? To where
I had a bunch of those.
You could have had sex with this woman even though you were in custody?
Yes.
Okay.
So the reason...
And then you guys would talk.
Yeah.
And this is where you would convince her, hey, you'll still get your stats, but I want my guys to get off with good deals.
Yes.
Okay.
So originally, it was her boss that said no when I tried to plead to the 25.
Okay.
Now I got 15. So that also caused a little problem, whatever the problem was amongst them up there, and the people that make those decisions, And in the court system, once they offer you time, they generally respect it. They don't get mad at you. They get mad at you and give you more if you don't take it, but they don't say, well, you didn't take it yesterday, so today is 15 and a half. Usually they have a respect for that. That's the plea deal. 8 months later, you decide, you changed your mind, you're not going to go to trial. They haven't raised it yet. It's still available to you.
And are you holding out? The longer you hold out, the more they're willing to give you a deal. Is that kind of how it works?
That happens with some cases. In our cases, I don't think that helped because the longer we waited, the more people came forward from other places that now we're not scared to talk. Yeah,
but then why would your original plea go from 100 to life all the way down to 15?
It was, if I blow trial, I would have got 183.
Okay, so you got it down from 25.
Yes, that's the number that I originally asked for. And you know what? I prayed for 15 to life sentence. And through her is how I used that senior dude, Mark Tebbins, the task force detective, to go out and have sex with different girls. We talked about that, right? So that's who I used for that because him and her were very tight.
Can you explain that?
I think I said a lot already.
No, but what about who is this cop? I don't understand this.
That's the he was a senior detective that was working for her. And he's been responsible for a lot of big cases, a lot of big time arrests of big gangsters. Yeah, and I used to use him and to go to a woman that I used to be dating or have sex or go try to have sex with this other chick or have sex with this one.
While you were on Rikers, he would...
While I was on Rikers, I had no bail, but if anybody with a badge and the right paperwork goes pick you up to be produced, the correction officers have to produce you to that agent so that agent could take you to court. But they have no way to prove if you was actually in court. They just know that you made it back and he turned in the paperwork, he signed it, and bye, and that's it. So nobody asks no questions about that.
So he could just drive to Rikers, pick you up, bring you into the city and have you meet your girl so you could get laid.
Yes, that's what I did.
Now, why would he do that? What was he getting out of this?
He didn't get nothing from me, but he had a relationship with her, and she's doing the new one shining, and his career is about keep going. So the more that what's the word? the more that he networks with her and pleases her, the more favor he's gonna have in that unit.
Right. So
and my original.
So she loved you. She was doing all this. Did she know you were going to sleep with other women?
Loved me. I don't think she loved me.
But why would she do all this then? But why would she do all this then?
This is a chick that was dedicated to really, she was in the wrong place, I believe. She wasn't really about giving people 100 years and 200 years. She was a woman that was into the Make-A-Wish Foundation. She liked helping kids. She liked doing other things. And she knew Lynn, and that's how I got introduced to her. And I did my best to charm her, and things worked out that way.
So she just liked you as a person, and
she was trying to help me genuinely within her reach with what she could do.
But because this could be interpreted as like there's a detective picking up Chango once a week and taking him out of the jail. Did people look at you like, oh, this?
They don't know. They don't know what I'm doing. They don't know where I'm going.
Right.
How I could be going to court.
Okay.
That's not something I told people, but I'm only speaking about that publicly today. People don't know. I've spoken about it in the courts. The courts already know about all of this happening. And I spoke to them because I got interviewed in order to help with the different exonerations that I participated in. So I had to admit to these things and talk about them. So they know, and they asked me that on if I've had sex with, and I gave them that same answer. I said no.
So I'll ask you one more time. What do you think this young DA was getting out of doing this for you?
I'm controlling the numbers that she's receiving.
What do you mean the numbers?
If I'm getting 5 of my guys to plead guilty today, that's worth money to her.
Right.
She's getting those convictions. She's shining. She's cementing her relationship there.
Right.
It's quid pro quo.
Okay. Got it. So you were basically getting your guys to plead.
Yes. I would talk to my guy. Let's say I'm talking to Shorty Rock today. I tell him, how much you willing to take? They don't know my relationship with her. Only I do.
Yeah.
How much you willing to take? He tells me, I'll take 8 1/3 to 25. That was his answer. That was one of our youngest guys, Shorty Rock, and one of the most loyal, and he was from the adolescent houses. So he tells me, I'll take 8 1/3 to 25. When I'm talking to her, I tell her, this guy, he's willing to take 7. And the guy that told me he's willing to take 12, I tell her he's willing to take 10. That was my plan in order for when I come back to them, they don't talk about they changed their mind, they want less. I'm already getting you less.
Yeah.
You was willing to take 12, I got you 10. You was willing to take 8, I got you 7. So I'm trying to guarantee a yes from you so this goes smoothly.
Right.
So if everybody pleads guilty, there's nobody left. There's nobody to cooperate against.
So you were literally acting as their lawyer. You were almost acting as lawyers for your crew.
Legally, it's called you acting as an agent. Really, it's illegal. That's illegal to do.
Sure, this whole thing's illegal.
That's illegal to do.
You're going out getting facing life in prison on Rikers.
But my plan was really to escape, though.
Really?
Yeah. So
what was your plan? Go back to Puerto Rico?
I didn't have a plan other than I know I could get out because I'm going to go see this girl. She lives on the 3rd floor, and I'm going to come down the fire escape while this dude is distracted, or I'm going to have her distracted, and I'm already going to be in my neighborhood, so I'm going to bounce. The main place that I would go was an apartment that faced Central Park West in Manhattan. So the entrance to the park is across the street diagonally. And once you enter that park, you have access to go as far down to 59th Street, Columbus Circle, or all the way to the east side. So he couldn't report. He can't report that I'm missing. He has to figure out if I'm hiding under a bed, if I'm in a closet, if I'm in the building, where I went. Did I go west, east? So I had about a good 40 minutes before he's gonna give up and call it in. And then
he's gonna look weird.
He's the one that shot himself in the head. So to him, this was nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. So how did this resolve? The cop ended up shooting himself?
Yeah, he killed himself.
Over what? Why?
His own conscience. There's a few people who are doing time for murders that they didn't do, that he put on them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why were you never able to carry out that plan, that escape plan?
I didn't think it was gonna have a long life.
It probably wouldn't have.
When I would open the windows, my hands would tremble.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I would immediately be thirsty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she lived on 3rd floor. It's like right there. You know, you could survive jumping into the garbage or on top of a car. But I was just going to put the ladder down on the fire escape and go down.
Yeah.
And go into Central Park. At the time, I was running every day. I used to just run and work out. So my plan was to run all the way to the east side. And once I'm in the east side, I'm out of the entire jurisdiction. And from the east side, go somewhere. But
did you have any money left?
Yeah, I have money left.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the plan to get that money.
Yeah.
But I, in my heart, knew that it was not going to last long. And in the end, I didn't do it. And sometimes early on, I will regret not doing it. But in the end, I got over that regret and realized that it was the best thing that I did, just to stick it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So you finally take the plea. That's unbelievable, man.
I take the plea. Me and Tito got sentenced on the same day. The same day.
Were you the last people to get sentenced?
No.
Okay.
We took our pleas, and on the same day that we got sentenced, we got sent to downstate because of our security level. When we got to downstate correctional facility, they didn't want us there because they said, you guys got too many enemies here. So they sent us to Elmira. When we got to Elmira, the superintendent was waiting for us and told us the same, you got too many enemies, you guys are not staying here. They locked us down. From Elmira, I got Lynn to start calling Albany and put pressure, and they sent me to Sing Sing. When I got to Sing Sing, I only lasted there 3 months. I got stabbed. I got jumped and stabbed. I went to the box, and then they needed my cell because somebody else was killed, and I'm the only one that's there without a institutional ticket. I'm there for security. I'm there because I don't want to sign protective custody, and they don't want to keep me in population. So their next move is administrative segregation. So that's where they put me in the box. You even if you didn't do nothing, if you were under administrative segregation, you get the same privileges as the box, which is 0. You under a punitive kind of thing, you know, an umbrella. So a dude that I know killed another dude, and they needed a cell to put him in. They picked me out the box because I'm the only one that don't have an actual ticket, and they put me in involuntary protective custody. Once in involuntary protective custody, the memorandum is within 5 days they're supposed to put in a transfer order from this, and they did. So from Sing Sing, I went to Clinton because I just got stabbed up, and because it's a high-profile case, they put me in APPU in Clinton. That's a jail, that's a prison inside of that prison. Separate, only for high-profile cases. So that's where I was with Joel Rifkin and the Happy Land killer and the Zodiac killer and my man that put his baby in a microwave and nuked it and all kind of serial. And
yeah, crazy.
Had an FBI agent in the cell under me that was in charge of the Gotti case.
Wow.
I had all kind of wild and weird people.
What was your family going through at the time? What was your mother thinking?
Hell, because my sister died. And so right after my sister died, 90 days later, her daughter died. Oh. And so my mother was going through that, and she didn't know the facts about me. And she's thinking I'm gonna get out any day, but I'm trying to complete a long ass bid. So it was excruciating for her.
Did you expect to get out right at 15?
No.
Or did you expect to do life?
I expected to do life.
Yeah. That's the way to go in my opinion. Now in California and Oregon, I just speak because this is the only places I know where I've done time. Historically, if you had an L, whether it was 5 to life, 25 to life, they would never parole those people. You know, like
even if you got 5 to life,
they wouldn't give you 5 to life. But my point is, like, if you got popped on a body and you had 30 to life, they just didn't parole you. Like you were getting, you were doing
Oregon,
life.
you said?
Yeah, but in New York, was that common, or were they actually paroling people that had, a number plus life?
No. Back then, you could get, 12 and a half to 25 for 2 murders and 3 attempted murders. There was a period where you could get work release even if you have a murder.
It's crazy.
There was a time where you get bail for 4 murders, which was $250,000. And
but you had life though, so you had.
No, I'm showing you how loose the courts were, right? So that's where it starts. So parole, people getting if you could get work release for a murder, that means everybody's getting parole, right?
Yeah.
But then Pataki came into office.
Right. Governor Pataki.
Yeah. And parole was almost non-existent. Wow. No matter if you got life or not, you're going to have to CR. You're going to have to wait for your conditional release date. And if you have tickets or fights or get any of those while you're waiting for that condition, then you're going to have to stay longer.
And you figured as a guy with a high-profile case, a lot of enemies, there was no way you were going to be able to behave yourself.
Nah, I didn't think I was going to survive that time. Because everybody that we got rid of, shot, and took over their neighborhood, their spots. That wasn't the only spot we had, right? We took over other neighborhoods. Everybody you don't want to see, you see in prison.
Yeah. And you already got stabbed, what, your first week or your first months in prison?
I got stabbed in Sing Sing maybe a month after I got there.
Do you think they were trying to kill you?
I don't know. I think they were, to tell you the truth. They had a washed up, put the hate out on me because another guy that I don't know that wasn't down with me, which is the guy that I took the drugs from and threw him on the street and his money in the street. He pretended like I was his co-defendant and told them that I told on him. He was a lookout. He was a manager for Purple Tie. He had nothing to do with me. So they told him, prove it, show the paperwork. He didn't have the paperwork. So then they came to me and told him, yo, we could get rid of him for you and we could hold you down, but you have to, help us out. We've read your news article. You could get a lot of work. You could bring heroin. And I told them, nah, that's not happening, bro. I'm like, that's called friendly extortion. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to have me going to get drugs for you, stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the dude that's telling me this. He's a jailhouse alley cat, basically. And I'm telling him, that's not happening, bro. I'm not doing that. So then they put the hit out. And one dude held me and two dudes stabbed me up in the A-block tunnel.
Wow. Where?
In Sing Sing.
But where in the body did they stab you?
Oh, I got hit in the chest, in the ribs, in the arm, and in the back.
Did you ever carry anything?
Yeah, I had something on me that day. I just couldn't use it because the dude that was holding me knew I had it. That's why he bear hugged me. And I had magazines on. I had magazines on in certain areas in case because I already knew that this was going to happen. Wow. So I went out. I would go out ready when I would go out to the yard. And once I turned down that punk ass offer from this fat, I knew that it's on because they can't get no benefit from me. They trying to use me to get a benefit for themselves with this heroin, and that's like my ticket. But if I accept that, then that's gonna be my fate for the entire 15 years wherever I go. Right. So I told them that no. Yeah. And so now I'm their enemy. Yeah.
Wow. When did things start to finally calm down in your 15-year stretch?
I would say when at the age of 27.
Because you went in, how old were you when you got arrested?
Almost 21.
And how old were you when you first started hustling?
When I first committed a crime with drugs, 10. Right,
but the Yellow Top crew, the formation in the Manhattan Valley was
17, 16 years old.
Yeah. Wow.
And we had a 5-year run, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. What an era. What a time, man.
What a time. Good and bad, though. I learned a lot of things. Everything I learned wasn't illegal. Yeah. And people only talk about the people that you kill or you send to kill, but I have saved some lives, too. Yeah. I have stopped people from killing other people that I liked or was cool with. So, nobody makes every decision the best way they can. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to work with what you got.
It's the craziest era in U.S. inner city history, man.
It's for us to this day, certainly for me forever, I consider that I've survived a war, literally, because just like people would just whatever we were trying to do, people were trying to do to us too. And you get tired of hearing them shots and they get sent at you and it's ricocheting. And after a while, you just become desensitized to all of that.
Yeah. That's how a lot of guys we talk to, like Unique, he feels like he's survived a war. And he's not being hyperbolous,
No, I think he's right. It's true.
Yeah. Did everybody...
And you suffer from the same thing psychologically when it's over, like soldiers that are in war. PTSD, paranoia, blah, blah, blah.
Do you think it's better now for the hood in New York? Now that there's not this robust drug trade anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Way better. I'm glad that is not around and it's over.
Mm.
I don't look at none of that the same. I don't ever promote it. I don't, I discuss it when I have to. But
like right now.
Yeah, that's just disgusting in reality, nobody stays the same. And then as you mature and refine yourself, you wanna move away from the things that you did. And if you got kids or a kid, you wanna teach better, so you wanna be better, So I don't look at that like I used to. I used to be proud of the accomplishment at such a young age to accomplish so much, right? And to provide in the form of being able to, for 5 years, keep a payroll. If you're into business, that's something to be proud of. Some people can't keep a payroll.
Sure.
So you're proud of the gimmicks that you created that took off, you know what I'm saying? You're proud of the branding, you're proud of all these things that you accomplished that help you get there. But now, when you sleep with that shit in a prison cell for 15 years and you sweat it out, that it wasn't cool,
Yeah. But you would have done it with anything, man. You did it with seafood on the beaches of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You were a hustler, man.
That's my night. Yeah, my mom used to tell me, you're going to be sick when you get older because you're always talking about money. That's all you talk about. And I was 8, 9, 10 years old at the time because I used to get $1 from her and buy 100 penny cookies to resell to my own friends or cousins. And I never made $1 because I was selling them for a penny. I didn't understand yet that I had to put a profit. I never made no profit, man.
But coming from where you came from being homeless and getting your lights and water turned off. I mean, these are dreadful conditions. Dreadful conditions.
Who wants to get in a bag at that? Who wants to do that? Nobody, man. But and who wants to see their mom suffering all the time and worried and stressed? And my mom has never did no drugs. Yeah. If my mom throws a party, nobody comes because she won't have alcohol in the party.
Wow.
Yeah, we can call that shit. Eat that turkey by yourself, lady.
Yeah. Is all of your crew that went down, are they all out? Did they all get out?
No, three didn't get out. 3 didn't take the plea bargains that I got for them. So they blew trial.
And they're doing...
And because of the relationship, or the alleged relationship between her and I, they removed her and they put a whole brand new person in. Wow. So to protect the integrity.
So those guys didn't get out in time.
They didn't take the plea bargains that I got them on time.
So what did they get?
2 got 66 and 1 got 100.
So they're never getting out, probably.
They have appeals they have to work on. And they have the same issues as the other guys that have been exonerated with the same task force member who killed himself.
Man, thank you for coming out here, dude.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I mean, I feel like it's an honor to talk to anybody from Harlem, anybody from that era. You are a dying breed.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here, though, man. This is, for me, important also, and it's also a privilege for me to be here, man.
Yeah. So we're going to talk some more on the Patreon. Do you have anything?
How does that work?
The what, Patreon?
Yeah. You said we're going to talk.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're just going to switch over people that are subscribers, paid subscribers. This will go out to the masses, but our super fans, they pay a subscription and then they get a bonus episode. It's just quick. We won't take.
No, but you don't have whatever time you need. I'm saying I just don't know how you. What do you mean? So what do you call me on? What is? I know what Patreon is. I have a Patreon page, but how do we talk on Patreon?
We're gonna just sit here and we're just gonna end this and then keep talking.
I thought you meant like you're gonna call me on Patreon.
No,
and we're gonna talk.
No, I didn't say call.
Okay, so this what we're gonna talk now is going to Patreon. That's what you mean.
No. We're gonna do. This is going on YouTube, on Spotify. This is going out to the world. But there's some extra stuff that I that's going to go for the paid subscribers.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Like a VIP type of thing.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm going to try
to... the Moet and the Cristal.
We got the weed at least,
Yeah.
So thank you, man. And we hope that these documentaries that have been made about you, can you talk at all about that really quick? Just plug yourself. Yeah, plug the Instagram. You got an Instagram. Anything you want to plug, let's do that.
Yeah. My Instagram is Chango _CP5. And what I got going with Alex Wright, my producer, is we got a docuseries coming out called Trust the Lords. We drop it on Apple, Tubi, and everywhere else that comes calling. I just did my first movie role in a picture called Love Music Shelter by Alex Scotland, a.k.a. Bonnie No Clyde. I'm working on trying to get another part. The part that I did for her movie, they liked it, so they decided to extend my role. So they're going to give me new lines to add, to put into, so I could get more screen time.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I'm working on. I'm working on a feature film also. Everything that I'm doing with Alex Wright, and a documentary also. That's going to include everything we spoke about and everything that we didn't speak about. But everything that we didn't speak about, when you want to speak about it again, we can.
Yeah.
I'm giving you VIP now.
All right, man. I'm honored. I'm
Any
honored.
questions you have, any feedback you get, anything we didn't talk about is because you didn't ask or I didn't say. And you just have to make arrangements so we could talk again. You got my number.
Yeah. Maybe out there in New York,
And if you want to do that, we could do that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just I mean, and you could see documentaries about this. I've watched several on YouTube.
Well, yeah.
That you could go, the story is so deep. The streets, you could talk about this for days and days. There's so many stories within the stories. Right. So go check out Chango. Go follow him on Instagram, and can't wait to see the docuseries. And then we'll see you on Patreon, patreon.com/The Connect Show.
I was that APPU unit I like to explain. It's where Shine was at. It's where Tupac was at. It was where Old Dirty Bastard was at. I got Old Dirty Bastard his first phone call when he came there. Shine, I had him in the cell next to me. We cooked together and talked for the whole time that he was there. Tupac had left right before I got there. And I think that's where I mostly matured in my life.
Yeah.
It's where I read the most. It's where I was into myself the most. It's where I worked out the most. And so sometimes you may not want to be someplace, but it might be the best place for you, even if it's that place, I forget to mention anything we need to drop.
That's the lesson. That's the lesson. It's a beautiful lesson. Thank you, Chango.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
No problem.